uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
on, guys? Welcome back to another edition, your Happy Draft Eve edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake.
Hump Day.
It is a hump day, and how do we start off this show as we are giving the fans the opportunity to be general managers tonight of their favorite team? And also, if they get the pick right, they win lunch. Just saying. What lunch is that going to be? I have no idea. It may be chicken wings. It may be steak. It may be something totally cheap. I don't know. I'm going to definitely make it worth your while. Guys, how do we start off this show as we always do on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television live on I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll be talking about the NFL draft, of course. We'll be getting you ready for the extravaganza, the thing now that used to be on Saturday afternoons that is now on prime time for the first round. We'll be talking about that. We'll be getting Harry the Greek on. We'll be getting various guests on here. We got Big Game James Canada in the building. We also got Mr. Kevin Sloan, who's leading it off. And when you hear this sound, that's when the pick is being made. Get used to that. Lots of fans here. We got Joe Carlino in the building. We got John Marino is going to be in the building. Roger Shue, and the guy on the spot at number 19, Mr. Christopher Cole, is making that number 19 selection. So without further ado, let's go ahead. I think he's ready to go. Are you ready to go there, Mr. Harry the Greek? He's not ready yet. Open phone lines, as always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. If you can't get in on that line, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I also sent out the link. So if you're a Bucs fan, you want to get on camera and tell me who you think the Bucs are going to pick or who they should pick, I will get you in here, in and out. You're not going to win any lunch if you get the pick right, but I will get you in here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go out to my co-host here. Here we go. Handicapping extraordinaire of 1252 Sports, Mr. Harry the Greek, on a earlier time tonight at 8 o'clock. For the fan NFL draft. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, Peter. It's great to be on, and I like to say hello to you and all the Greekites.
All the Greekites. So there you go. All the Greekites out there. And you're going to hear this sound, Greekites. I'll tell you what, really quick, let's go out to let's go out to Big James Canada here right now. Former draft pick of the...
My man.
Yes. Played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, also played for the Indianapolis Colts. Welcome to the Evolution. Thanks a lot for joining us, my friend. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Jim, I was gonna send you a direct message in Facebook and say, hey, I don't know if you have time tonight, but we really need you on this show. But Pete beat me to it. That's cool. Yeah. How you doing, James?
Man, all is well. I'm having a blast. I've been making up mock drafts and going through these boards like a lot of people, and still know that I actually have no idea what the hell is going to happen tomorrow night.
Well,
the world knows.
I love that. I don't think we all know it all. You know, the big story, James, coming into it is, does Houston, and I just got some confirmation that we got somebody for Houston, Mr. J.C. Allen, which he'll be joining us from, of course, Pewter Report. I tell you what, James, since you played for the Indianapolis Colts, do you want them at number 4?
Sure.
All right, you got him. There you go.
I will take that.
There you go. He is going to select number 4. We're going to get some analysis from him. I tell you what, let's go out to Mr. J.C. Allen. J.C., welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. How are you doing tonight?
What's going on, fellas? A little bit under the weather, but, got to show my support, especially for this mock draft, because this is really what put me on the map. This is what got me the gig with Bucs Report, doing this on SportsWeb that brought me over to everywhere else that I've ever been. So definitely had to come and rep. How's everyone else doing tonight?
I'm doing great,
Good.
JCL, but I'm just asking you a question. With all this money that you're knocking down, all these greenbacks, bro, why can't you get a camera?
Oh, he's sick. He's under the weather there, Genius.
Oh, I ain't going for it. How you doing, JC?
Doing well, man. Just getting ready for this draft. We've got a big 3-day event going over at One Buck Place. We're going to be live from there all 3 nights. So 2 nights in a day. So just getting ready for that. And just echoing James, man, the uncertainty of this draft is crazy. And it really all starts at number 2 with Houston, and then number 3 right behind it. It could really throw some serious wrinkles in this draft. So excited to be a part of it.
Well, and I tell you right now, we don't have anybody for Arizona. So I guess I'll give it to Harry. You take the pick. I don't want to pick for anybody at this point. I want as many fans to call in. If you want to call in really quick, you don't have to send it $10 unless you want to, but you can't win anything. But if you want to take one of these selections, you want to get on camera or call in 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, the other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I'll tell you what, who's on the clock here. Let's go out to Mr. Kevin Sloan. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing tonight? You're on the clock here for the Carolina Panthers. Are you ready to go?
Hey guys, how's it going tonight? Yeah, I am ready to go, and I just got off the phone with our prospect, and they seem very excited to come to Carolina. And with this draft, let's get this show on the road.
All right, let's get the show on the road here. Do you need the 2-minute clock, or are you ready to make your pick?
I am ready. I talked with Coach Wright, and we're both in agreement of who we want, and I'm ready to make the selection.
All right, the Carolina Panthers are officially on the clock. So without further ado, we'll go full screen. Here we go.
All right, Panther Nation, well, here it is. With the first pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, us, the Carolina Panthers, select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
There you go, right there. Bryce Young. All right, now tell me why you selected Bryce Young, and then we'll come out to the analyst here, and we'll go ahead and analyze this pick, because it certainly seems like from everything that you've seen with Young canceling all his visits at the end of the day, it's going to be Mr. Young from Alabama. So why did you select him for the Carolina Panthers, Kevin?
I just felt, because since he's the top overall prospect and the kid's a winner, and just being in with Bama and playing against top competition every time in the SEC, the kid was just the right fit. And I think with Coach Wright, he could, definitely give this kid a lot of, push. And I really think Bryce, just because of his size and the fact he doesn't show that he can play, he's a gamer. And I think he's going to fit pretty well for the Panthers. I just hope not against the Buccaneers. But you know what? They got their quarterback of the future, and welcome to Carolina, Bryce.
All right, guys, I'm going to go out to you here, Harry, really quick, and then James, and then JC. Harry, what do we think of the pick? Did Kevin knock it out of the box there with that selection for the Carolina Panthers?
Either one of the 2 top quarterbacks are supposed to go there, but I don't quite agree with it. But, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Everybody's saying it's going to be him.
Okay, so why don't you agree with it? Go ahead and expound on that just a little bit there, my friend.
I already did.
You're killing me. You're really.
I'm killing you too. I mean, what else you want me to say? I don't want to knock poo-poo on the poor kid. I mean, he's 5'0". Okay. He doesn't have he's got the physical skills, but there's not many quarterbacks that can withstand that type of beating in the National Football League, being 5'10". I'm sorry. He's got a nice arm. He makes really good decisions, but you know what? You can't run on every single play. Just see what's happening out in Baltimore. Look what happened out in poor Arizona. I mean, the list keeps going on and on and on. I mean, there's not that many,
mobile
quarterbacks that are small that make it in the National Football League. It's too much of a pounding.
But he's
good. No, he's very accurate. But I'm going to tell you this, man. His body's going to take such a beating. Okay, I mean, you just can't help it. That game is going to be 10 times faster than he's ever assumed it was going to be in college.
Okay.
I'd love to hear James Canada's opinion.
I want to hear James Canada right now. What do you think of Carolina selecting Bryce Young? What do you think of Kevin in the selection of Bryce Young? Is this a no-brainer at the end of the day for you, or there's some red flags there with size and strength and stuff like that for you?
I mean, I think it's the popular pick. That's what everyone's talking about on the internet now. I will say this, because so many people praise the SEC for being the most pro-ready conference in college football. And if that is the case, then he should be ready to attest to some of the pounding and beating that he will take in the NFL, especially being as where Carolina needs to improve the offensive line as well. Unlike Kyler Murray, he is a better passer, and he will try to throw first, I think, before he runs, to try to lessen the load and the blows that he might take in the NFL. I'm a numbers guy as well to an extent, but sometimes you get so caught up with a guy needing to be so tall, Paxton Lynch. Look how it works out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't get caught up on height if he has the intangibles of making the read, getting rid of the ball, and not holding it long. Now, if he holds it too long and tries to run a lot, it's going to be short-lived, and then Carolina will be looking for a quarterback again in another 3 years.
All right, good points there by Mr. James Canada. JC, what do you think of the pick? Bryce Young to the Carolina Panthers. That's what Kevin is saying. That's what a lot of people, draft pundits out there, are saying. Do you agree?
Yeah, look, like Canada said, he's got all the intangibles that you want from a quarterback. Now, does he have the longevity? Maybe not. But if you get 10 years out of Bryce Young and you get 5 Pro Bowls out of him, Pro Bowl level play, all pro level play out of him, which I think he's capable of if they continue to surround him with good talent, I think that's a win. Obviously, you want a quarterback that can play, 10, 15 years and be the cornerstone. And I think he's the guy that can do that. Height is a big disadvantage. They're going to have to, be creative in the ways they protect him. And open up the certain offensive situations and looks to give him to make sure that he's not getting taking those hits on a consistent basis. But I think he's the clear-cut top quarterback in this draft, and if he was even 6'1", there'd be no debate about this at all.
None.
If he was 6 feet, there'd be no debate about this. So sometimes, again, you can get hung up on intangibles, all the height, weight, traits, physical traits, but he's got all the mental traits. As the Bucs like to say, he checks up from the neck up, and that's what you need the most at that position. So easy, clear-cut choice for me at number 1. I don't think we're going to see anything different tomorrow, and I think he's going to be a very productive quarterback in this league.
All right, there you go. Kevin, really quick, I know that you're a big-time Bucs fan here on the Sports Web. You're more than welcome to call back if you like to, or chime in. Again, if you have something to say, you're always welcome here on The Evolution. Who do you want to see the Bucs pick at 19, and who do you think they end up at 19 with?
Well, with number 19, I know there's a lot of options, and I know that the lore and everybody in these draft experts saying the Bucs should go after Mr. Robinson out of Texas as a running back prospect. But I think the way the Bucs strategically need to play this out is go for your strengths, go for offensive line depth, get you a guy that can plug in either right tackle or left tackle. If Tristan Wirth is moving to the left and he's practicing for the left, put someone on the right side, right along, for right tackle. But I think that's where we need to build at, is the trenches, for sure. Just like Mr. Big Game James said it, for Bryce to succeed, he needs to definitely need protection. And for the Bucs quarterback, where we're going to be for the future, they need that line depth and that trenches.
We agree with that right now, because I know we're going to get to the Bucs for Christopher Cole, but do we agree that that's their biggest need, gentlemen? I'll go with you here. We'll go out to James and then JC. Line, especially right tackle, depending on if they decide to keep Wirfs there. Maybe they go with the left tackle there and a Broderick Jones. Harry, what do you say? Is that the biggest move for them?
I think they can go after Broderick Jones, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not a really big fan of them moving Tristan Wirfs from one side to the other. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I understand he played a little left tackle, back in college and everything else, but we're talking about one of the top 5 right tackles in all of football right now. And moving them to the left side is a completely different blocking scheme for the young man. I'm not saying he can't do it, please. And it's going to be easier to find a right tackle than it is a left tackle, but I definitely see them going offensive line.
All right, James, what do you say here? Big Game James podcast. You've definitely broken down some of these prospects. What do you say their offensive line, the biggest need in your opinion?
Yeah, but also the defensive lineman in me comes out and says, depending on who falls to 19, if the right edge is there, you have to get it. I just believe with Shaq being hurt last year, Tristan Wirfs still not coming into his own Tristan Wirfs. Joe Tryon-Shank, y'all just said Tristan Wirfs now, stuck in my head. But,
that's all right. That's all right.
But with JTS still, seeming to try to find a good fit, if the right edge rusher was there, it would make me consider it. But most importantly, most of my mock drafts I've done, it's been offensive linemen there. Broderick Jones
out of
if,
Georgia.
if he's there. If not, Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. There's a couple guys I think that would fit, and that probably will fall there at 19. But I think we have to think offensive line.
All right, JC, you agree?
Yeah, I think O-tackle is obviously their biggest need, but at the same time, they did bring Matt Filer in here, who has 2 years of starting experience at right tackle. Gedeke is still a second-round pick, played right tackle in college, played him in the last game, was admirable in that position. So if they deem edge rusher as a bigger need and look to maybe take a tackle in the second and third round, I think the value at that position drops off dramatically after you get to Anton Harrison. DeJuan Jones, big guy. He just doesn't fit what the Bucs are going to be running in the system with a wide zone scheme, so I don't really like him. Bergeron most likely kicks into a guard, and he gives me Marshall Newhouse vibes. Turnstile, no thank you. So I think if they don't take a tackle at 19 or move back, or don't rule out a move up for a tackle as well, I don't necessarily know. Maybe edge or Brian Branch or Bijan Robinson or a quarterback if they fall. I don't think they look at any other position. I don't think cornerback, tight end, wide receiver. I don't think any of those guys are on the board. But tackle, Darnell Wright is the dream, I think, because he's a plug-and-play option at right tackle, and he's going to give you, he's going to step in and just be able to go. Tristan Wirfs, I think, can handle left tackle. But, yeah, offensive tackle for sure is definitely the biggest need and the position with the biggest drop-off. I think there's good edge rushers. I think there's good safeties. There's good other positions where you could target in the second, third, and fourth round, what they don't have. But they'll probably grab a fourth-round pick at some point with 6 picks from, the fifth round on. But, yeah, tackle, I think, is the biggest need and the biggest drop-off of any position that they need to draft this season. So,
all right. Yeah. Great stuff, as always, Mr. J.C. Allen up here to report. I tell you what, Kevin, final thoughts here, and we'll get you out of here on that.
No, I want to say I appreciate the opportunity and thank you guys for, doing this kind of idea. I think it's kind of fun to have the fans interact and kind of pick for all these teams. And like you said, it's going to be a crapshoot once tomorrow starts and all the madness for the next 3 days. And I'm really excited to see who's going to be on our roster for, the future. And let's see what happens.
Well, let's definitely see what happens, and I think he's going to win lunch here, whether it's wings or steak or something, my friend. But I appreciate you stepping up here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend, all right?
Thank you, guys. Have a great night, guys.
All right, good stuff there. Let me go ahead and give him the horn. Love that. Let's go out to one of our other fans here. He's picking for the Atlanta Falcons at number 8. Got to check on him, Mr. Joe Carlino. How are you feeling, my friend? Welcome to the Evolution. Are you ready to go? What's your draft plan here at number 8?
Well, first and foremost, I got to say thank you to Peter, to all you guys. It's a great opportunity to be a part of a fan mock draft in a sense. I mean, I wrote a mock draft about a month ago for Blogging Dirty. I just wrote a recent article about Jahmyr Gibbs, or I do not know how to pronounce. I think I just pronounced his name right. I could have pronounced his name wrong.
You got it right, Joe. You got it.
Thank God.
You got it. And listen, we all understand this because we're all on the panel. You look at these names, and at the end of the day, like, your mind is melted. Like, James knows what I'm talking about. He's going through all these shows. When you get to draft day, it's like you know these names by then, or you don't know these names by then. But you're exactly right. Gibbs is somebody that a lot of people are talking about. And I got to throw this out there, the big-time rumor with the Atlanta Falcons, and you would know this all too well, Bijan Robinson at number 8 with the real draft tomorrow night. How would you feel about that, my friend?
So when I did my mock a month ago, I was full on defense. I went with Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon because I wanted another quarterback. I wanted another one with A.J. Terrell. But now we have Jeff Okudah in Atlanta. So now we have the best corner from that draft in A.J. Terrell and Jeff Okudah. So, and now with Chase Young potentially be on a contract year. Atlanta could maybe have a shot at 3 of the top defensive players from the 2020 draft in 2024. Who knows?
Hey, listen, I like this guy's energy right now. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to put you in the lobby. Stand by. We got 7 more picks, and then we will hit you, all right?
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go right there. The fans wanted it. You get it. We're going to do this. We're going to continue to do this next year. We're going to continue to do this type of stuff on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here live on I Love St. Pete Amped Up Sports. And with my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Indianapolis Colts, Mr. James Canada, defensive tackle right there. And, of course, J.C. Allen, happy anniversary, because he started out his years here on the sports web and then eventually was on Bucs Report. And now he's a big-timer on Pewter Report at 95.3 with Pat and Aaron. With that being said, they're going to the Atlanta Falcons. Harry, what do you think of their offseason and what they've done so far? I mean, pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, they got a lot stronger. They really did. I mean, this team's actually starting to play. You know, they're starting to pick up players where you're going to have to start taking Atlanta a lot more serious than you have in the past. However, defensively, there's a glaring need, like the whole defensive line. It really isn't that good. I mean, honestly, a lot of teams can run on this team. You can play a lot of ball control against them, and they haven't really done anything, in my opinion, in the offseason. And everybody's thinking that they're going to go defense in the draft in the first couple of picks. They haven't shown they've done that. They were supposed to do that last year, if you remember correctly, Peter, and I don't think they did. So Atlanta, offensively, I think they're going to be fine. Defensively, they're going to still be the Falcons.
Yeah, they're going to be the Falcons, and I mean, that's the big-time question. Where do you go there, big game, James? Do you go with defense? Do you go with the Bijan Robinson? I mean, Tyler Algier out of BYU did a phenomenal job. I mean, what's the need for a running back at that point? You should be addressing the defense, right?
Yeah, Harry said it best just now. I mean, Grady Jarrett is a good defensive lineman for them in the middle, but then you name 3 other ones that's on the starting line. It's like D-line by committee. To me, you know, I'm thinking the Falcons would really love it if Will Anderson is there, but I don't know if he will be at 8 or do they move up to get him. But I think that's someone that they could definitely use. I'm looking there, but I know I've talked to a lot of Atlanta Falcon fans and content creators, and some of them are hoping that they take Bijan Robinson out of Texas.
Well, and I think the big-time question here, JC, is who's their quarterback. They're going to go with Desmond Ridder. Went 2-2 for the team last year. I mean, from what you've seen, do you think there's a possibility they could go for a quarterback, or are they all in on Ridder, in your opinion?
I think this year is so difficult to predict. You know, maybe if Stroud falls to them, that's a possibility. If they're like, you know, I honestly don't know how to answer that question because there's so many different varying opinions on this draft class, especially the quarterbacks and who's going to go. And, you know, this is the most uncertainty we've had in the draft in a long time. And I think they could go either way. They could go on the defensive side of the ball and get an edge rusher or a cornerback, even bringing in Jeff Okudah. They could go on the offensive line if they wanted to, which I don't think so. But if they see Peter Skoronski as an upgrade at guard, they could take Bijan Robinson, you know, one of the best players in this draft, pound for pound. They could go offense. They could go defense. They could go quarterback. I know they like Ridder. Is he the future? I don't know. Brought in Andy Dalton to back him up. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I thought Dalton ended up with Carolina.
Taylor Heineke is.
Yeah, he did.
Taylor Heineke is who they got.
Sorry.
Yes. So, I mean, and that's where they're going at this point. And if Ridder trips up, then Heineke is shown in this league, boys, that he could definitely start. All right, so I'll tell you what. We'll read the comments, and then we'll get out to Houston's pick here, which will be made by J.C. Allen. Let's go out to KR. Says first to the pick. Absolutely great job. Roger says first is always not so fast, my friend, but we will acknowledge.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to Roger again. I got pick number 9 for the Chicago Bears. Harry, I know you would be interested in that. Lots of talk about Jalen Carter. Who's going to be on the board for this? We shall see. Hey, KR, good to see you. Going to be a fun show. Absolutely nope. Roger, you're not first. He's saying I beat you. There we go. Lots of competitive fire here. I love it. Don't make me ban you. Laugh out loud. KR, ha, ha, ha. Okay, Roger, we're going to have a blast. Pete has a great lineup. Absolutely do. Awesome. Can't wait. Okay, I was shocked no one wanted to be with the Panthers. You know, that's what I don't understand, guys. I offered free lunch, and I said, you know what? $10, and you get a chance to pick for the Carolina Panthers. And everybody had said from the very get-go it's going to be Bryce Young. It's like free lunch. It's like free lunch on me. I'm giving away, Harry, free lunch. I never pay for lunch. You know this. You've been around me for how many years now, Harry?
Yeah, my wallet even knows that.
Shut up and be quiet. This guy
sucks. It could be worse. It could be Big James, Big Game James. Could you imagine taking him to lunch?
I'll take him to lunch. We'll absolutely have a conversation.
I've been trying to cut down.
Hey, man, listen, leave that man alone. He's trying to stay on that diet there. Welcome to Tampa, Anthony Richardson. Really quick, Troy is our troll here, but Anthony Richardson. Harry, I know how you feel. We have a bet here, Big Game James, and of course, JC, that Anthony Richardson, for me, is going to go in that top 10. I believe he's going to go to the Colts, or the Raiders will trade up, or some team, possibly the Tennessee Titans, will trade up for him because too much potential at the end of the day. But is there a possibility that Harry could be right? He's right about a lot of things and could actually drop out of that top 10, James.
I think that everyone got excited about Anthony Richardson late. I don't see him dropping past that. If he does, then I think you were right. A lot of teams will try to make some moves to get him. A workout freak. Again, I love the measurables sometimes, but I'm not blown away by you throwing passes on air with no one rushing you in the backflips you do. That's cool. But I think of that Florida State game and other games I saw Anthony Richardson play, and I'm just thinking he's got to go somewhere where he does not have to play year one.
Well, you're absolutely right. And again, the potential is there, but 53% completion percentage, JC. But a lot of people say, you know what? Your buddy there, Josh Allen, came out at 56% completion percentage. We fixed his mechanics. We fixed his footwork. We got him a top wide receiver, and bam, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Do you think that there's some teams out there trying to emulate the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen himself, JC?
I think the Josh Allen comp gets thrown out way too willy-nilly.
Okay.
But I do like Anthony Richardson as a prospect. Top 10, again, uncertainty. That's the biggest. If you're going to describe this draft in one word, uncertainty is the word you'd use. Media is so far behind on what teams' actual draft boards potentially look like. It's not even funny. And even if the combine stuff comes out and everything like that, someone said it, you fall in love with these guys in the fall, and then in the springtime, everything goes crazy with numbers and this, and you're second doubt, and you're guessing yourself, and you're talking to this person and that person, and trying to find you're trying to find things wrong with these prospects that you've convinced yourself are going to be good players in your system, in the NFL, on your team, etc. With Anthony Richardson, we're starting to see some of these national pundits have him falling out of the top 10. And is that media finally catching up to NFL boards after they've hyped Anthony Richardson up? Or is that where Richardson has been all along? You look at the players, again, we'll go back 3 years when I first did this. I had Jalen Hurts as a first-round pick to the Patriots. He ended up going number 2, and now he's one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson, another one. These guys get hyped up, they get torn down, they get hyped up, they get torn down. Anthony Richardson's one of these guys. He's got all the traits. He's prototypical guy you look at. He's in the new era of quarterback who can move with his legs. He's got a deep arm. Could he be drafted in the top 4? Yes. Could he find himself falling into the a la Aaron Rodgers into the 20s? Yes. The answer there is I have no freaking idea. I have no idea.
I'd like to give a little insight on the Anthony Richardson. Look, great athlete, all the great measurables that you're going to want from a quarterback. And, Big James said it best. I mean, everybody can look great with a lot of air up under a ball and there's no defense coming at you. I get it. If this guy goes in the top 10, I will let you know right now the likelihood of him being a bust is going to be extremely high, only because that they're going to expect him to play in year one. This young man needs a year, maybe 2, even 3 years of sitting down and developing. Personally, they're doing him a disservice by making him a top 10. The only thing they're going to service is his wallet. You get him out of the first round, you get him into the second round, and now the expectations aren't going to be as big. But you know what? A guy that big that can run 4.3? Are you kidding me?
That's Cam Newton. That's
okay.
Cam Newton.
That's Cam Newton on steroids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He really is.
Yeah, and he could go to a team like the Raiders where you already have an established veteran.
And hail to my Gators. Okay, seriously.
Right.
The Florida Gators, everybody knows I'm a huge Gator fan. But man, I'll tell you what. But that wouldn't surprise me to see the Raiders take him in the first round. I mean, the Raiders are always going to be the Raiders.
Yeah. All right, JC, let's go out to Europe.
James knows exactly what I'm talking about.
James does. That's great analysis there by Harry the Greek. JC, the Houston Texans are on the clock. What do they do here? What do you think they do? What are you going to do as a general manager? Beat Nick Casero here. You're on the clock, JC. Go.
Hit the chime.
All right, here we go.
So I'm buying the hype. I'm buying the hype that they're passing on a quarterback. I think they will with D'Amico Ryans coming in. Obviously, the quarterback is the most important position on the field. But let's face it here. Even with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, the Texans are devoid of talent on that roster. Getting a quarterback such as the C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson is not going to overnight make them a contender. And I think that, the best way to win games for the Houston Texans is going to be on defense, and having someone like Davis Mills, or I think Chase Daniels went there, or I don't know, at quarterback and distributing the ball and being that game manager type with a strong defense, kind of like what I expect the Bucs to be this year.
Who are they taking?
Who are you taking? Who are you taking?
I have them taking defensive end Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech.
Whoa!
That's the best. He's the best defensive end in this draft. I'm sorry. He just is. He's got the size. He's got the speed.
And for me, I see Will Anderson from Alabama being more the finished product here. And I'm going to go out to you, Harry, first. I think you see the potential more than, a guy that's being established. And I kind of go back to last year, right, when it was Hutchinson and the other guy that got drafted by Jacksonville. And the reason why Jacksonville drafted him is because of the potential. Is this the same case in your opinion, or do you really think Tyree Wilson is the best player, the best defensive edge rusher in this draft?
Peter, you can go back 2.5, 3 months ago when I was talking about it. And I says everybody's going to be jumping all over Alabama with the edge rusher with Will Anderson. Will Anderson, look, man, he is super fast. He's super explosive. You get an extra big body on him, he can't get anywhere.
Yeah,
I was talking about Tyree. I was talking about Tyree. I was like, nobody's talking about this kid. Anybody see what this kid can do?
Yeah.
Lord, is he explosive. You can line him up over center and he's got movement. I'm not kidding you. Okay, but he's going to be most best fit, especially on the defensive end side. He could play either 4-3 or 3-4. He could play that hybrid. He's that good.
Big game, James. You buying this hype? Who was the player last year that got drafted by Jacksonville over Hutchinson from Detroit?
Oh my God! Was it not Wilson? What's his name?
JCA will know that. He's the walking almanac.
JCA. Who was the guy who went from Georgia last year, number 1 pick overall?
Walker was his last name.
Trayvon Walker. Excuse me.
Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, I mean, is this a comparison between those guys? At the end of the day, the reason why the Texans would take him is because the ceiling is a little bit bigger for him than a Will Anderson, and is that a mistake on their part instead of going with an established guy like a Will Anderson from Alabama?
No, I mean, Tyree Wilson, man, this guy is awesome. And like Harry said, he can play up and down the line. You can put him with another good defensive end, move him inside to a 3 technique, keep him out as a 5 and a 7. I mean, he can get after it. Great hand placement, good with a secondary counter move as well, which a lot of people have been talking about when they talk about his film. But he doesn't stay hung up on blocks. If the first move doesn't work, he's quick to get into a second move to get off and get to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
I'm not mad at that at all because he's a good fit, and I think he's going to have longevity in the NFL. It's just not establishing a quarterback yet, and that culture seems like it's still going to put the Texans back even more. But at the same time, a good defense can help make your life easier for your offense as well.
All right. So JC, that's your reasoning there. You think the Texans are going to go with Wilson? JC?
Yeah, I just think when you look at Wilson and Anderson, yes, Anderson I think is an impact player right away. It's the whole Hutchinson versus Walker from last year. You know, who's got the higher ceiling? I think the floor is certainly higher for Anderson, but I think the ceiling is way higher for Wilson. And I think if you look at the type of defense that Ryans is probably going to bring in, D'Amico Ryans probably going to bring in here, it's going to be similar to what he ran in San Francisco, and having those guys who have that versatility to play on the edge and then in nickel dime situations be able to drop into that 3-tech and not lose anything at all as far as the pass rush ability is going to be huge. Now, I do think he needs to improve as a run defender, setting the edge a little bit better, being able to diagnose, read, and react quicker to run to when it's run plays. But his strength, his length, his size, his wingspan, his speed, I just think it makes a lot of sense. Remember, he's at Texas Tech. Houston's in Texas. They've had plenty of opportunity to look at him like crazy. You know, there is that relationship, Cesario, Belichick with Nick Saban in Alabama, and I'm sure Saban is going to give him glowing reviews about Anderson. But if you look at potential and you look at floor versus ceiling, I just think Tyree Wilson's got the higher ceiling.
All right, good stuff there, JC. All right, Arizona is on the clock here. You ready to make this selection at number 3? Do I hit the chime or do you need 2 minutes?
No, I don't need 2 minutes at all. Actually, he took my.
Go ahead.
And of course, JCA took my player that was going to go there. But now that he's off the board, they got to protect little Kyler Murray. I'll tell you what, they're going to go offense, and they're going to go to an offensive lineman. They're really hoping that this young man could be the next Rashawn Slater. And I'm talking about Peter Skoronski.
Whoa!
From Northwestern. They're going offensive tackle, and they are going to protect. They have to do something on that offensive line a little bit more. Nobody's talking about that with Arizona. They're just not. And that's where I honestly think that they're going to go offensive line. I could be wrong, you know, with which tackle they're going to take, but I can see him going there.
All right, Big Game James, you go offensive line to protect Kyler Murray, who's coming off an injury. It makes sense, but what you've heard, and I had Luke Easterling on from Athlon Sports, he thinks of Skoronski being more of a guard than the tackle. Any way it goes, you draft a guard or a tackle, you're trying to protect your quarterback. A good pick?
Yeah, you can't go wrong trying to protect, you know, your asset. You overpaid for a quarterback, you better protect him, right? So it's hard to argue that pick. I thought that, you know, Arizona may go defense. I mean, they need a little bit of everything. They're in a total rebuild, but that's a good pick.
All right, JC, what do you say? And JC is JC.
Oh, I got it. I'm sorry, my fault. Yeah, so I think if they tackle's definitely in a position that they definitely need to address. I think they go Paris Johnson over Skoronski, who I think Skoronski is going to be a much better guard at the next level than a tackle. I think ultimately they want to move on from this pick. You know, if someone will come up, but that's the thing. Nobody wants to move up. So it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. I think Will Anderson being right there is another. They need help all over the team. So, but right, you just paid Kyler Murray all this money. You need to protect them. I just think if they're going to go offensive line here over Will Anderson, I think it's going to be Paris Johnson.
All right, let's go back out to the comments, and then the Colts are going to be on the clock with Big Game James himself. This is the Sports Web Draft Show. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. Of course, Big Game James Canada, former defensive tackle of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and of course, the Indianapolis Colts, which are on the clock here in just a little bit. And of course, JC Allen of Pewter Report. Let's go out to Troy here. Roger, you still live in mama's basement and eat hot Cheetos and top ramen for dinner.
This guy sucks.
God. Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Hot Cheetos and what up, Goofball? We're going to have fun. Absolutely. Please tell me it's hot Cheetos and ramen. KR again, a Cuban sandwich from the Cuban Sandwich Shop in West Tampa. That's a good choice. Don't want no damn hungry hours. You better stop with that crap. You know, you're pissing me off when you say anything about Hungry Howie's Pizza. I love Hungry Howie's Pizza. Love the draft jingle. Thank you, KR. Appreciate it. Mickey says, hey, what's going on, Mickey?
Oh, yeah.
Roger says it's almost draft day. Thank God. 2 giant goop balls. Harry, can you tell where to buy people heroes?
Okay, you're close. He wants me to tell people where to go buy euros.
Euros. Come on.
It's actually called gyros. Okay, but who's
man.
saying anything? And for those of you that don't know what a euro is, you must live in a cave.
Oh, well, it's lamb, isn't it?
It's lamb and beef. It's the uncuts. And
well, at least
of course, the best euro comes from where? Chicago.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, you learn something new every day. And
who asked that question?
I
Andrew?
can be a euro, baby.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
almost like him asking me the question. See, he's busting my chops here a little bit because I keep telling him it's Taylor Ham. Oh, see, he's not here to defend himself. Call it Taylor Ham, not pork roll. He will go nuts.
Well, listen, I sent him the link. If he wants to get in, he can get in anytime he wants to. Awesome. Welcome, James Roger Shoe, with a YouTube super chat, $10. Thank you, sir. Give to the calls. They are YouTube super chats. And, of course, Facebook stars are open. We love that. Just going to say that if you put mayo in your coffee, I have to question your decision-making skills. Of course, Will Levis there. I don't understand that at all. It makes no sense. It would make me not want to draft him as a first-round pick. He should be dropping out of the top 10 for that. Who in the hell puts mayonnaise in their coffee? Harry, do you do it?
What?
How about no?
James.
How about go right to James?
James, do you do it?
I've put butter in there before when I did keto. Mayonnaise, hell to the no.
Okay.
How about no?
And JC, do you do it?
I don't drink coffee, so there's your answer.
Well, there you go.
How about no?
Nobody does that. It makes no sense at all. It feels like it's more for attention. You know, he's posting bodybuilding pics, and nobody cares about that as a quarterback. They care if you complete throws, if you got leadership. Nobody cares about mayonnaise or pose and all that other garbage. Christopher Cole, of course, picking at number 19, says, hey, he was just in here. Get back in here in just a little bit. Christopher Rogers says the only pick I care about is 9. Of course, the guy right now that is sliding, that could be sliding, gentlemen, is C.J. Stroud. We'll get back to that in a moment. Yes, 2 giant group balls. No one is excited to go Carolina unless it's for barbecue. 2 giant again. Expound. Geez, put down the thesaurus. Laugh out loud. Roger says, we all know Pete stole that from Leo. Cole says top 5. He's a top 2 right tackle. Roger Shoe. Troy, what team are you picking for? Pittsburgh. Troy is picking nobody because Troy is a troll. 3 times say that.
This guy sucks.
If the Bucs drop back from 19, they will definitely grab a 4th. Absolutely. Roger says, Pete, let's do a live watch along tomorrow night. We shall see about that. We're still trying to pick the bar where we're going to go to. Still in the works. So definitely stay tuned here on the Sports Web. Are we going for Hendon Hooker? Let me go ahead and address that really quick. I mean,
I like that idea.
Over 50 touchdowns, coming off an ACL, 25 years old. Harry, why do you like this Hendon Hooker to 19 for the Bucs?
Okay, well, you don't have to make me full screen because I really want to see other people's expressions, except for JCA's because he doesn't have one.
Right.
Okay, nothing personal, but Hendon Hooker is the best quarterback in this draft, even though he's 25 years old. Did anybody see what he did to Alabama? Anybody see his touchdown ratio, the interception ratio? Anybody see his decision making? If he didn't have a bad ACL, we're not talking Bryce Young. We're talking Hendon Hooker. And if he falls to 19, oh, you better go grab him.
Or you better take the call, James, from a team and possibly get a first-round pick and maybe accumulate, Leo word there, some picks here later on in this draft. What do you say about Hooker, James?
I like Hooker a lot, and I've done several pieces on my channel saying that Hooker is the quarterback that the Buccaneers should target if we were to get one. He would be in a great situation coming off the ACL where you have Trask and you have Baker Mayfield that can go out and play this year.
And he can sit a year.
Yeah, let him get healthy. And, you know, every scout and every report that came out about him was they were blown away by his football IQ and what he did on the board at the combine and talking football with these GMs. And he did it in this play up until, you know, the one bad game against South Carolina and then the injury. I'd still take him in a month of Sundays.
Well, and I think a lot of people agree with that, JC. And of course, the Bucs, you know this all too well, had a nice little visit with him. Certainly seems like the Bucs are interested in Mr. Hendon Hooker, right?
Yeah, I think they've got to do their due diligence on all these guys. They also brought in Levis and met with Richardson as well. You already have a question mark at quarterback with two guys. One that you put a high draft pick in, one that was a former number 1 overall. They have so many holes on this team that they need to fill. They've done a nice job in free agency with value signings, but they still need to get younger. They still need to get cost-control talent in here. And while quarterback, I think, would be a good spot, this year, if it was any other year, I could see it. This year, I think they really need to address multiple positions on this team with young talent, especially with guys up for contract extensions next year, in a Devin White, in a potentially, we'll see. But with Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tristan Wirfs, it's set to, possibly reset the market at both of their positions. You need talented, cost-controlled rookie contracts on the offensive line and in the secondary to go with them, because they're going to have their cap put somewhere else. So I think next year is a better year for quarterbacks in general and a better option for them if they're going to draft one.
All right, good stuff there from JC. Let's go out here. Okay, I guess we got Roger here. Says, okay, Pete, I want my wings medium with ranch. You're going to lose that bet, my friend. I told you that. Anthony Richardson is not getting out of the top 10. Stop playing games. Acknowledge us. We shall.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to KR. Shocker. Absolutely was a shocker with Skoronski, but I understand the pick. Harry loved this guy months ago. 2 giant goop balls. Walker from Georgia. Absolutely, Roger. I'm going to shock the sports web with my pick. But again, it's not about necessarily shock and all, guys. It's about getting the pick right. Because if you match what the Bears are going to do, you get lunch. Everybody wants to shock and all, but it's about winning. I want to win. Bryce Young, Kevin came in here off air and said, I'm going to shock you. I said, do you want to win lunch or do you want to shock me? You want to win lunch, you go with Bryce Young. I get it's boring, but hey, listen, I want to win at the end of the day, especially when somebody's offering free lunch. He is the T-Rex of tackles. 2 Giants again. Arizona definitely trades down with a quarterback needy team. I definitely think that's going to happen. If you love Hungry Howie's and try cardboard with sauce and cheese, don't start with me on that.
Shut up!
I love Hungry Howie's pizza. No, it is good pizza. Now shut up and be quiet.
You don't know pizza if it hits you in the head.
You shut up. It's pork roll. Damn. 2 Giant again. I got to go live or else I would be on. Well, the draft is falling well for the Bears. Absolutely. I think that's Travis Faley. Harry puts ketchup on his Chicago dog.
They can't prove that, okay?
Okay.
People in Chicago, don't listen to that, okay? Just don't listen to that at all. Maybe.
Okay. All right. Don't listen to that. I don't know. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm a Bucs hater. Well, great.
This guy sucks.
Preach it, Harry. Dave says Bucs need to stay away from a quarterback in the first round period. See what you have this year with quarterback draft OL and DL. That's certainly possible, Dave. Good comment as always.
Oh, yeah.
Troy says NFL draft is fake. All jerseys and hats are already set because of all the players already know where they're going. I'm not going to respond to that. Troy says Leo still uses a car with a steam engine. You said that joke the other night. It doesn't make funny anymore.
Shut up!
Build the trenches, absolutely, Dave. When
No.
Leo
That one was pretty. That was pretty funny. That was pretty good.
Okay, let's see this one. When Leo travels across the states, he still uses the railroad. That's actually good.
Flawless victory.
Leo would be on with us tonight defending himself, but he's under the weather too, so it must be the same thing you got, Josh. Hopefully not. When Leo sends messages out of town, he still uses telegraphs. Troy, Connecticut makes the best pizza. 2 giant goop balls. Nope. Jersey.
Ban that idiot. Connecticut makes the best pizza?
Right.
Off with his head.
Shut up!
Quit picking on Leo.
Nobody wants your bowl of sauce, okay? No one wants your bread bowl of sauce, Harry. Go back to
No, hold on. First off, I don't like deep dish pizza, okay?
Okay.
Let's put that right out there. Chicago's famous not for their deep dish, but for their thin crust. It's extraordinary pizza. A bowl of sauce. You remind me of a bowl of sauce. Stop it.
Oh, my gosh. So we got Tampa Bay Ray coming on here in just a little bit. And, of course,
there goes the neighborhood.
At 19. Who's the best DB in the draft? Let me refer to you because I kind of think, Harry, you know who it is. He's out of Illinois. Is it Mr. Weatherspoon there?
You know what? A lot of people are saying that he is. His size is just a little bit of a question for me, but I'll tell you what, I think he would be a real good zone type of corner, almost like in an old Tampa 2 style of defense, even though in those type of defenses, you wanted a more physical, more taller, defensive back. But I don't know. I think his size might create a few issues. I kind of like Joey Porter Jr.
Well, and he could go 17 there to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Game James, what do you say there? Devin Weatherspoon, is he the best corner in this draft, or is it Christian Gonzalez from Oregon?
I think Gonzalez is the best corner. I give Weatherspoon the second best in this draft. I mean, okay. I would take either one of them if we had to have it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Either one of them. I think both of them are going to be good pros. One plays man a little bit better than the other one. I think, that's what Christian Gonzalez does well. Weatherspoon has a knack for the ball, though. So, I mean, 1, 2, however, tomato, apple, orange, whatever you want.
All right, good stuff there. Let me go out to JC there, your cornerback grade there. You like Gonzalez or you like Weatherspoon?
Yeah, for me, it's Witherspoon over Gonzalez, but I'll even throw in another name there. I think Brian Branch could be the best defensive back if we're talking defensive
back. Yes,
I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler pretty quickly into his career. He's just got the ability, and the way they're going to utilize him, as that nickel, as that safety. I like him as a top 3 defensive back. I like Deonte Banks a lot as well. But I think he's probably, the 4th best corner on the board behind Joey Porter with Gonzalez and Witherspoon.
And we've heard about Banks, the Bucs liking him out of Maryland, of course. Brian Branch possibly being there. JC, let me ask you this. Do you think he's there at 19, or could he go sooner than that with him being able to play multiple spots, not only nickel corner, play on the outside? I mean, he can do so many things, possibly even safety. I mean, where do you see Mr. Branch going?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a possibility at 19. I think he's a possibility of the Redskins as well. Potentially even the Patriots at 14. They did lose Devin McCourty. I know they have a deep safety group there with Duggar and with Peppers they brought back and some other guys in that defensive backfield. But no, I think Branch has one of these wide circumstances of outcomes where he could go right outside that top 10, that 14 mark, he could go in the mid-20s. He could go even as early as the early 30s as well in that second round. So I think he's just got such this big range of possibilities. I think he's a first-round talent. I think he's a first-round player. But I do think that, other teams – this draft is so crazy.
It really is. And, you've studied it. Big Game James has studied it. Harry has definitely studied it. And what you hear is it's not a great draft. It's not necessarily top heavy. There's probably like 15 prospects that are first round grades, and then everybody else is not really that great. I mean, is that what you see here, Big Game James?
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a wide array of people and choices at different positions. You always say whatever, every team has their board, and you have that board numbered a certain way. If that player you have of need is there when it's your pick, that's what you take. How they come up with the board, every team and every organization is different. So I think every team's boards are going to look dramatically different across the league. Whereas in years past, you had a solid 1 through 15 maybe, and every team knew, well, that guy's going to be gone. We're not going to get there. I think it could be, hit or miss on a lot of these guys, just depending on who falls where, and people start shuffling their board around.
All right, good stuff there. Yeah,
I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's about 15 guys that first round grades. Maybe some people might only have 12. Some might have around 18. But somewhere in that number is where your first round prospects are. That's not saying the rest of the guys aren't good. They're just, it's a very deep class in the second, third round. I think there's a lot of good players that you can get in those values. But that's why teams talking about trading up, especially with the Bucs, do they want to give up that? Do they want to give up draft stock with a guy who maybe they have similar grades on? Yeah. So it's one of those situations where variety is the spice of life. And I think that this draft in particular is just going to be on what guys, what they like. It's not going to be so much as, all right, this is that. It's going to be like, well, we like this guy better than we like this guy. And, it's like, I like vanilla. I like chocolate better than I like vanilla. Or, it's like, it's that type of draft. Very much.
Very much. High five.
High five.
There you go. All right. Good stuff there. He understands the joke there between me and JC. All right. Let's see here. Let's go out to two giant goofballs. Witherspoon never played football till his junior year. In high school, his ceiling is so high. I want to go out to Dave here, who's talking, the OL man from North Dakota State.
A redheaded kid.
What rounds? Where are we thinking?
He's a day 2 pick.
Day 2 pick, okay.
Yeah,
Two giant goofballs says order isn't fast enough and holds too much. Wow. Harry at Nose Pizza. Two giant goofballs again. Devin Witherspoon is the best player in this entire draft. Wow. Says so two giant goofballs there, Andrew. I'm here to announce I'm entering the transfer portal and decommitting from Colorado. That's a good comment.
Flawless victory.
Because there's been a lot of that going on there with prime time and a lot of guys moving on, a lot of kids moving on. Laugh out loud, Troy. Corey says first round kicker Jason Lights.
This guy sucks.
Let's see here. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, of course, on I Love St. Pete. I think the draft might overlap tomorrow night. Due to the pace, can we get a pick?
Can we start rolling this now?
Yes,
Let's
we will roll it. I will absolutely keep on rolling it. And Jeremiah says, what's your opinions on our first round pick? We'll wait for that. Really quick, want to go out to Christopher Cole here. He's going to be making the selection at 19 along with his nephew. Christopher, welcome to the Revolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah? I know he's excited about.
How you doing, Chris?
Look at that face right
Chris?
here. I mean,
Christopher Cole.
how could I not give it to somebody besides Christopher Cole, who's been with me the whole time here? So we'll come back to you guys in just a moment. Love that guy, love that kid, because he definitely supports the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, Big Game James. Indianapolis is on the clock. You would know all too well, playing for them, and of course Tony Dungy. Do you need the chime? Do you need some minutes here to think about this? Who you going with, Big Game James?
No, we're going to keep this thing rolling.
All right, here we go. Let me get the chime.
And with the 4th pick in this year's NFL draft, the Indianapolis Colts go C.J. Stroud, quarterback from the Ohio State University.
That is
Should have been pick number 1, but
I
that's
agree.
okay.
I agree on that. Big Game James, why did you take C.J. Stroud? And is there a possibility that the Colts could be in this position tomorrow night where you get a chance to get Stroud at number 4?
Yeah, I mean, with all the talk of the Texans now maybe going defense and not taking a quarterback with the number 2 pick, I think it would make the Colts excited to where they might even swap with Arizona to make sure, if they're, what I'm saying, they're not in the quarterback market to try to get him. They have Gardner Minshew, who I believe, is going to be the starter coming out of training camp, going into the, week 1. But C.J. Stroud is a big quarterback, tall quarterback. I think he can come in and play. It won't be pressure right off the bat. But if Minshew's not doing what he needs to do, you have a guy with with a lot of talent, I think, that can come in and perform. Now, I don't want him not to play right away because the Colts need some of everything. They need to build up the offensive line. They do have a running game that can help alleviate some of the pressures of being an NFL quarterback. But I just think that it's a good pick right there for them. And if he's there, that's who I think they get, because I honestly thought, that he should be quarterback number 1 also, just like Harry.
Yeah, and I think here the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, it's about the best competition, the SEC. You do what you did against Georgia. I don't care about an S2 test. I think it's nonsense. I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of general managers and owners playing games to lower this kid's stock, and he could possibly be the best quarterback in this draft. He definitely has all the measurables, right?
Yeah, without question, and just piggybacking on the Indianapolis Colts, if everybody remembers correctly, before the season started last year, when they got Matty Ice, I says, you know what, this is exactly what this team was looking for. They got a great defensive line. They know how to get back after the quarterback. They got two really good safeties. Their corners cover really well, and they get a good pass rush led by Mr. DeForest Buckner himself. That guy's an absolute beast. And then I said, wow, with that running game and the wide receivers, and now you bring in Matty Ice, this team's going to be like the sleeper team in the AFC. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, and I had to kind of choke that when I said that.
Oh, yeah.
but I don't think they're that far off. I just don't. Honestly, I don't. I think their defense is still solid as long as they keep DeForest Buckner, because there was rumors before the Bears traded to go back to number 9 with the pick. They were actually going to be number 4 and trade with Indianapolis. Everything came out of Chicago with that. And DeForest Buckner was the only chip that they were looking for, and they were willing to take less as far as draft picks as long as they got Buckner.
Update on the Rays game, because I know that's going on right now. They lose to the Houston Astros 1-0. So now the Rays are 20-5. JC, let me come back out to you. CJ Stroud, what are your feelings on it? And what do you think about that pick by Big Game James for the Indianapolis Colts? I mean, could that be the rookie of the year? Could he be the answer to their quarterback troubles? Or do you think it's still Gardner Minshew there with Shane Steichen as the new coach and what he did with Jalen Hurts last year?
No, I think this is the best case scenario for the Colts. I mean, sitting there at 4, you probably wanted either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. You tried to move up, didn't work, and you have one of the top prospects laying in your lap. Indianapolis isn't too far from Ohio State either, so I expect that to definitely tick up with maybe some of those ticket sales, some of those jersey sales. So I think monetarily wise, relevancy wise, quarterback wise, they made a great pick. I don't buy all this CJ Stroud with the S2 scores and everything like that. You turn on the tape and see what he can do, and he's quite impressive with his ability to diagnose plays and get the ball out quickly. And I think again, this is the time that everyone overthinks stuff. And Stroud going number 4 to Indianapolis, I think is a good pick.
All right, good stuff there. Let's go on to number 5. We were supposed to have the great John Marino, but he is working right now, so he gave me the selection. So let me go full screen here. At number 5, the Seattle Seahawks select. I'm about to break your heart, Roger Shue. You should have been nice to me.
Jalen Carter
out of Georgia. There you go. That's my pick, and the reason why is he could be the number 1 player in this draft, if not for all the off-the-field stuff. Also showing up to the combine and his personal workout out of shape at the end of the day. We need to build that line. We need to get after San Francisco and the Rams and Arizona. And I tell you right now, Carter, even though he takes off some plays, the potential is too much to pass up on. That's why I take him for the Seattle Seahawks. That's why John takes him. Harry, your thoughts on Jalen Carter going to the Seattle Seahawks?
Best defensive lineman in the draft. I mean, that guy's a real disruptor right up the middle. I don't care what kind of off-the-field issues. He made a mistake. Leave it alone. Stop persecuting this young man. He's blessed. He's got all the talents in the world, and I think he's going to be a hell of a player in the National Football League.
All right, Big Game James, what do you say here? Jalen Carter at number 5.
Jalen Carter's a monster, and I believe that he's a guy also that if someone were to take him number 1, no one would really be mad at it. Good fit, and I think that he's going to do well. And Seattle has not bolstered that defense in a really long time, so it's definitely a pick of need, and I think that he helps get that defense turned around.
JC, what do you say there? Jalen Carter for the Seattle Seahawks. Good
pick.
Listen,
Jalen, he's the best player in this draft by far.
Wow.
Probably right behind him, you're looking at Bijan Robinson. But he's definitely the best player in this draft. And, Pete Carroll has a habit of taking guys that have some character concerns. I don't think this is a huge one for Jalen Carter. I think it's a terrible, unfortunate accident that happened. But, I mean, kids, I'm still under the thought kids will be kids. I know we can't say that anymore. Boys will be boys, kids will be kids now in this 2023 woke era. But I think it's a great pick. Huge impact player on the defensive line, a need for the Seattle Seahawks, and I think they'll be thrilled to have him. And I think this is the most likely outcome that happens tomorrow night as well.
I think it is too, and a lot of people are talking about Philadelphia trying to get up from number 10 to get Jalen Carter in case he falls past Seattle, and this could be the reason why. I see people saying Bijan Robinson, but I think Philly at the end of the day, they want to build within the trenches, either getting one of those big offensive linemen or getting that defense better, especially with all the sacks they had last year. They have to get younger there with Fletcher Cox. You do that with Jalen Carter. Yes, absolutely. So who is up next here? We got the
Detroit
Lions. Who wants to take this pick?
I'll take Detroit.
All right, Detroit.
Well, I'd like to weigh in on this too, though, before you make the decision.
All right, go ahead and weigh in on it really quick, and then we'll go ahead and go out to the pick. Go ahead, JC.
So I think this is a situation where Detroit's looking at this, and wow, Will Anderson's still on the board at pick 6. To pair him with Aiden Hutchinson would be monstrous. But they did have Houston really come on last season as well as a pass rusher, and I don't think it's necessarily as big as the need as cornerback. So if it were me making this pick, I think Will Anderson's hard to pass up, but I think Devin Witherspoon would be the pick for me here. But go ahead, Harry, make your selection.
All right, Harry, you need the chime?
Yeah.
Oh, we go.
As usual, JCA took the words right out of my mouth. Will Anderson still on the board? How can you not pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Absolutely. Will Anderson.
All right, there you go. So Will Anderson, the pick, big game. James, what do you think about this? Because a lot of people thought he was the best defensive player in this draft, highly productive. It's got an attitude about him. I saw him pick up some, unsportsmanlike penalties, but overall, he'll knock your teeth out, right?
Yeah, that makes those bookends in Detroit pretty scary now, I think. And I think Will Anderson will be ready to come in and play immediately in the NFL. So him and Aiden Hutchinson on the other side, with the way they believe in Dan Campbell, man, he's doing a lot better job than I ever gave him credit for, or thought I would give him credit for. And I was cracking up laughing at this press conference, but to watch the way they played for him this year, I think this just adds that another some more toughness that this team has embodied from their coach.
Okay, I got a question for James.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead, Harry.
The team that does actually take Will Anderson, is this the type of player? I mean, I know he can get after the quarterback, but when you run against a real run-heavy type of team, is he going to be all that effective, especially teams that actually still have a fullback and you put a guard on him and really go after him and just really knock him down? I mean, is he going to be solid enough in the run game?
Well, that's
in your opinion.
Well, that's where your play calling, your scheme come into play. Is he a guy that you're going to have to run on some go techniques and some gap techniques to get him from, outside to inside with linebacker help, scraping over the top? You may have to do those things because we know a lot of teams, the way they try to attack a pass rusher is, like you just said, loading up and running at them and run. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it's going to depend on how you call it. Is he going to be able to pass rush an entire game? No, he's going to have to play the run as well. And I think it's something that he's a gifted enough athlete to be able to learn how to do it. Just, the way that he'll learn how to do it, you can play with the one arm, back into the chest, squeezing down, trying to keep things off of each, splitting double teams, turning your shoulders, getting into those gaps where you're not taking on and absorbing two people coming at you. He's going to have to use technique to his favor to not get moved around and pushed around in the run game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And I think that's where you go with the Lions, and they definitely need to improve the defense. And you could go either with a Witherspoon because you got rid of a Jeff Okudah, who was the 3rd overall pick. But do you try that again? I'm not necessarily sure. I think, most of the defense, most of the time is predicated on the pass rush. That's where you go. You get Anderson and Hutchinson at that point, 2 building blocks. We'll see if that happens on Thursday night. The Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. I tell you what, I'm going to take this pick, and I got the perfect player. So let me go ahead. The Raiders.
Please don't tell me Sebastian Janikowski, okay?
With the 7th pick in the NFL draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Anthony Richardson from Florida. I had to do it, and I tell you why, because Jimmy Garoppolo can't stay healthy. You get a prospect that you can build around there. Boom or bust at the end of the day. You hope that
the kid from Kentucky's still on the board, and you still have Hendon Hooker out there. Really?
Yeah, and I should have taken.
It is the Raiders, though.
It is the Raiders. Greek, what do you think about my pick there with the Raiders taking Anthony Richardson? I know you don't like him, but in the top 10.
No,
but
hold on, man. I didn't say I don't like the young man. I just think they're doing him a disservice by drafting him so early.
Right.
You got 2 other quarterbacks, and I'm telling you, man, this kid from Kentucky, he could throw the ball around, and you give him a little bit of time, that could be really, really, really dangerous. But great pick. The Raiders will always be the Raiders.
Well, there you go. And I selected like the Raiders would do. Big game. Anthony Richardson to the Raiders at 7. How likely is that?
You know, like you said, the Raiders are the Raiders. You know, someone made a reel the other day, and they showed all the picks the Raiders missed by either one before or one after over the last 10 years, and I was dumbfounded. Like, they missed on Larry Fitzgerald, they missed on so many other people. When they took Robert Gallery and all this other stuff, so it could happen. I thought Will Levis might be a better fit to come in, and they do need a quarterback, but Anthony Richardson doesn't have to play right away. If Jimmy G can stay healthy, it's not horrible.
All right. I'll tell you what, we'll come back out to you, JC, in a moment. Let's go out to the phone lines. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Welcome to the Sports Web, your fan draft show. What do you have to say about Anthony Richardson to the Raiders at number 7?
You guys called it last night. We were talking about it, but I got to talk about the fact that I just popped into Facebook and all of a sudden I am slapped in the face with a murderer's row of talent we have tonight with J.C. Allen. We have James Canada, you, Harry the Greek. I'm like, what's going on? But Richardson, okay, to Vegas. You guys are kind of talking about it. What's been the other surprise that we've seen? Anything in the first round? Was it? I really don't know, brother. Was it? It was obviously.
Well, I think it was Harry's pick, and I understand it. But Peter Skorowski, it was more known as a guard at 3. That's dropped some players down here. Stroud went 4 to the Indianapolis Colts. That's certainly a possibility. I think the Cardinals could trade out of that. Jalen Carter to Seattle there. You have Will Anderson lasting all the way to number 6 for the Lions. You got Devin Weatherspoon still on the board. You also got Christian Gonzalez on the board. We got our fan in there, Joe Carlino, who's just, licking his chops right now because he's got an opportunity to get one of the top corners out there or go with the Bijan Robinson. So it's been pretty interesting to say the least.
Bijan's still on the board, but yeah, but brother, I'm serious. Who was number 1 overall?
Oh, it's Bryce Young. Bryce Young. Okay. And look, Kevin knew that he was going to win lunch, and I think that's going to be the pick overall tomorrow night. I would be completely shocked if Bryce Young was not the number 1 overall pick. Completely. I would be shocked because he canceled all his visits at the end of the day. Like, hold my phone calls. I've been told I'm going to be the number 1 pick overall.
Well, what was the whole Josh McCown telling Stroud at the pro day? Well, and I mean, you're just bantering, but we're going to build a facility or a basketball court. We're going to train with you. And it almost sounded, I mean, they own the number 1 overall pick. They own the screen, smoke. So, and they may still trade out. I always said they could have traded up with Chicago to get into this pick, find someone hugely desperate, and then all of a sudden Frank Reich is trading that back for some magnificent, like a Jimmy Johnson draft day trade for draft capital, and all of a sudden now the Buccaneers got to worry about that or an already approving Panthers team in the South. So, whatever.
Yeah, definitely whatever. And I think it comes down to also the owner, Tepper, talking to Nick Saban about an hour. And, of course, Saban probably did his best sales job when it comes to Young. And, again, guys, we've talked about it all night long. If it wasn't for his size and possibly his strength, he would probably be the number 1 overall pick. But there's I think he still is, but there's a question mark about if he could handle the NFL rigors at the end of the day. What do you say, Ray? What else?
No, I want to ask James Canada or J.C. Allen. You read the SI article on him, and his father, Bryce Young. His father talks about he's 6 months of old, and he dropped a little football. It was a little, full football, a little fluffy football, and drop it around him. He's looking at him, and 8 months old. He says all of a sudden Bryce reaches up and grabs it. I mean, part of the legend that is with Bryce Young. I'm looking forward to this guy, James. I'm sorry, go James. That's what I was asking you about. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a good feel good thing. The one concern that we have, Ray, talking about it is his size. Is he going to go somewhere where they're going to be able to roll him out and keep him upright to throw the ball and not take on those big hits? He is accurate. He doesn't hold the ball long, which will help him. But it's just some things where you have some question marks. But I believe every player leaves you with question marks in this year's draft, as JC said earlier.
Yeah. No, I tell you, go ahead, Ray.
I'm sorry. I'm going to leave you guys with this thought because you got a great show going.
Well, go to get in, jump in here. You got the link. Get in here.
I was going to my spot, and there's another dog, and Ruth's fighting, so I'm trying to find one. But let me ask you guys, all 4 of you on the panel, or 3 of you on the panel, go around the horn real quick. Forget about if they could draft back and get capital, the Panthers. Would you take a rookie Bryce Young, or if you had a shot to bring in a Trey Lance, would you go with that guy as your franchise quarterback?
I'm not. Yeah, I love Trey Lance, but again, you trade up for a reason. I think you go with Bryce Young. If that's your guy, that's your guy. At the end of the day, you traded DJ Moore for him. You're still going to have to get him a weapon. You're still going to have to go through growing pains. I love Trey Lance. I love to see him in a Bucs uniform. I think I don't know if San Francisco would trade him. If they're going to trade him, you trade him for a 3rd-round pick, and you're talking about 3rd overall pick for a 3rd-round pick. And what the 49ers had to basically trade for him, like 3 first-round picks, and then already want to get rid of them. I don't know
about the turnabout, Peter. San Francisco picked him, if I do remember correctly. Even JCA remembers this.
Yep.
The 49ers are getting Mac Jones, and I went 0 chance. Matter of fact, JC and I were sitting next to each other going, nah. He ain't going there.
Well, and that's the thing, though. Mac Jones performed well, and at least he's been on the field. And Travis Faley here at Rocket Sports and Entertainment. I see you there, Travis. How can Pete say he loves Trey Lance? How many snaps he actually watched Trey Lance take? Well, it's a lot better than, Kyle Trask, and he also has a lot more athleticism.
Bite your tongue.
Shenanigans.
I was talking about Frank Reich and the Carolina Panthers and their franchise quarterback team. Kyle Trask, we trust, and it's going to be a great competition.
Just shut up and be quiet.
Shut up!
Roger? Where's Roger at?
Oh, geez. We don't need the green.
Where's Roger at? That's all I'm going to say.
I'll tell you what. Let's go out. I'm going to see if Ralph Williams wants to get on here. Ralph Williams, what do you think about Trey Lance and Bryce Young here? Ray, thanks a lot.
Ralph.
Appreciate you, buddy. All right.
Hey, how you doing, Harry? Guys, how's everything?
Everything's great. What do you think about Trey Lance and, of course, the other quarterback that we mentioned, Bryce Young?
How you doing, Ralph?
I think Trey Lance, I don't know about him starting. I just don't know what they're going to do down there in San Francisco. Bryce Young, I think it's a good quarterback. I just read a mock draft here. They have him going in the 1st round, or number 1 pick overall.
All right. Yeah, well, I think that's the winner there, and I think Kevin might be on to lunch. All right, Ralph, we will go ahead and get you out of. We'll come back to you in a moment. You ask and you shall receive. You wanted nonsense? You wanted shenanigans?
Now James is going to get a kick out of this. James, just
all right.
Understand what's getting ready to happen here.
Acknowledge me.
Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. By the way, I crushed your dream, and I wanted to do that forever now. So there you go.
Hello?
Yeah, you're here.
Who is this?
All right.
This is Roger Shue.
Wait, we skipped Atlanta.
Oh no, we haven't gone. We haven't gone to Atlanta yet. Atlanta's coming up right now. But Roger,
okay.
Roger, I know you want to do your pick in a little bit, but Harry asked him to call in because he wanted some nonsense from Roger.
Oh, I thought it was on the clock.
No, you're not on the clock.
Oh, all right. I'll call back.
Oh yeah, call back. There you go.
Go back to praying, okay?
Yeah, shut up and be quiet. All right, let's see. Shenanigans. Again, I like his potential. I think he's got lots of potential at the end of the day. And you get him for a 3rd-round pick, a 3rd overall pick, I'm taking that all day long. Troy says we live in a new universe where Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks are succeeding in the National Football League. Absolutely. All right, let's go out to our fan analyst here, Mr. Joe Carlino. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television as your Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. Do you need some time here, or do you need the draft time?
I think I'm going to take a little bit of time here because
ring.
What you got? With a trade? What is there trade?
Ring.
Well, Josh, you're doing a trade. What's going on?
No. I just wanted to say one thing because I heard you guys talking about it before we went live with the draft.
Yeah.
I am sick of this Desmond Ridder bull crap
that
is going on right now.
Okay.
All right. I'm sick of it. All you guys, all last year, not you guys specifically, but all these talking heads on the media, they all said, oh my God, this is a great young man, great quarterback, good arm talent. Some had him number 2 quarterback. Some had him number 1 quarterback. Some said Atlanta stole him in the 3rd round. Some said A+, A-, B+. He gets starts. Oh yeah, you should go after Lamar Jackson. What's that? You're not going after Lamar Jackson? Hey, you must not care about winning. I cannot wait for him to shut this league up. And he is not the worst quarterback in the conference.
Wow. Oh, there you go. He came strong to the mic.
He's not even better than their backup.
Well, I tell you right now.
Go ahead, Joe. Greek, with all due respect, bud,
honestly, man, Tyler Heineke's a better QB.
With all due respect on that, Taylor Heineke has played quarterback, yes. But how in the absolute hell are you going to tell me that Sam Howell is better than Desmond Ridder? That Jordan Love is better than Desmond Ridder? That Andy Dalton, who's on his 7th team, and I can't even sell his jersey that I have, is going to be a better quarterback than – look, if they want to rank Bryce Young ahead of Ridder, go right ahead. I'm not going to make an argument there.
Well, to be devil's advocate here, I'm going to be a devil for a minute here, Harry. You're the guy that says Kyle Trask, with his grand total of 9 snaps, is the quarterback of the future. I know you like to stir it up here, but Ridder actually has more snaps than Kyle Trask. Go ahead and defend yourself with these shenanigans. Thank you, Travis, for the word.
Shenanigans?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? You're giving me shenanigans? Yeah, you know what? I defer to the man that played in the National Football League.
All right.
Mr. Big James.
Who
would you rather have, Ridder or Kyle?
Can I defer to Tom Brady?
Oh!
I'm joking. I really want to see what Kyle Trask can do. I mean,
so do I.
Being a 2nd-round draft pick, yet Tom Brady comes in, you never have a chance to touch the field, nor should you play over him. We understand that. But he had to be a 2nd-round draft pick for a reason. So that being the case, I believe we need to see what Kyle Trask can do. So I'm not ruling him out. Desmond Ridder, whatever he does up in Atlanta, as long as he doesn't beat us when we play, I don't care what happens with Desmond Ridder.
He's going to be Dan Marino in the South.
But it's one of those things to where you get a quarterback late, you have a nice grade on him, you get him in the 3rd round, so you feel like he feels a need and he's going to be our quarterback of the future. What that's going to be, I don't know. How they're going to play around it, I don't know. Like you said, the Falcons have made a lot of moves, but yet they still need to address the defense. But I think they try to get better on the offensive side of the ball. We shall see.
I'll tell you what, I do like the skill set from Ridder. He can actually play the position. He's going to be a really good quarterback in the National Football League. However, with that being said, it's just going to take some time. And you know what? I don't care what kind of quarterback that you have. You got to build that defense first, man, because you got to be able to run the football and play defense in the National Football League to win. That's priority number 1, especially with a young quarterback. That's it.
Well, and I will say this, and Joe, this will probably piss you off, so I'm going to come full screen because I want to piss you off because I like your enthusiasm and energy here. We say 3 things: bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. The biggest mistake for the Atlanta Falcons by far is passing up on Justin Fields, who is a homegrown kid, has all the measurables, has gone through the rigors of college football and an injury and everything like that. And instead, you draft Kyle Pitts. Joe, respond.
My response is very simple with that. I get the negativity with the not drafting the homegrown talent with the 1, 2, 3, 4 in that draft. But also help me out with something. To Greek, to Mr. Canada, to JC, and to you, Peter. When Ridder played his 4 games last year, who was his tight end? I think it was Michael Pruitt, not Kyle Pitts.
As a fantasy owner of Kyle Pitts, they didn't use him even when he was healthy.
You just validated his question.
I think I both validated his question and made a rebuttal as to why I think Ridder is going to be a lot better, because they were able to put more target, or the defense, opposing defenses were able to react more to Drake London, because that's our best target out of our entire, because our receiving core outside of Drake London, how many of those guys scared you? Olamide Zaccheaus? Not that much.
But listen, Joe, you have an opportunity to get Justin Fields, who's a homegrown kid. Again, could be a franchise quarterback, could really set the world on fire with the weapons,
the dual threat capability.
Yes.
And if you're using Justin Fields as a jumbo blocker, I mean, not Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, then you made a mistake. There's no reason why he should be out there contributing mostly as a run blocker. I get it. Atlanta runs the ball a lot, but his skill set, that's not why you draft him that early. You draft him early to be a playmaker on offense, and they didn't utilize him that way at all last year, even before he got injured. Justin Fields should have been the pick. Homegrown talent, merchandise, marketing, and ability. It will never. There's no way you can talk anyone out of that pick.
So I will have 2 points on that. One is sort of valid based on statistics, JC. The other one is more a little bit personal bias, and I will very much defer to you guys on this one because I've kind of had a little bit of negativity from every person that I know of that does scouting. Though stat-wise, is that last year Kyle Pitts was targeted by Marcus Mariota, good amount. Sure. Mariota was off target on 26.5% of his throws to Kyle Pitts. He left about 500 yards and I think like 4 or 5 touchdowns for Kyle Pitts on throws. And let's not forget the Thursday night game where Mariota has a stupid freaking throw. God knows and that's a good riff for that one.
Yes,
that's a great riff
what you're
for that.
talking about. He on his back against the Carolina Panthers in the rain. And look, your franchise, I know you're a fan, but they decided to choose Marcus Mariota. They decided to choose Desmond Ridder over Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson. It makes no sense. I hope it works out for you.
I believe it will, Peter. And honestly, a couple weeks prior to that game, I was in it's been about 2 months. It's about where I'm thinking Ridder's going to start, get that opportunity. And then after that Carolina game, I was like, how the hell can you have Mariota start another game when he does that? But on one of the throws I'm talking about with the off target to Kyle Pitts, he had a crossing route wide open the middle, and he overshoots him. Kyle Pitts would have had 20 yards up the sideline. I won't say a touchdown, but I mean, it is rain. They can be a little bit loose on it. So on the tackle and whatnot. And then let me get into the sort of thing that you guys might get at me. I get that Fields is a homegrown product. I get that he grew up. He went to Falcons games. And that was the whole thing with the Deshaun Watson saga, that he was a ball boy for Atlanta. He grew up in Atlanta. His house in Georgia was built by Warwick Dunn. I think that name sounds familiar to Bucs and Falcons fans.
Oh, yeah. We know who he is. Yes.
So there was a lot of connection there, and I get that with Watson. I get that with Fields. For me personally, and I hope to freaking Christ that I am wrong with him, I cannot get past the helmet that he was wearing in college. They can't translate to the NFL to save their freaking lives.
All right, off with his head, Peter.
All right, so let's
off
go
with
ahead.
his head. You're going to start
draft.
dissing on my Gators? This guy's got to go.
No, not Gators. I'm talking about Ohio State quarterbacks.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm talking Ohio State. I'm talking with Fields. I'm talking Fields, Stroud. I hope Stroud proves me wrong. But in the last 20 years, name me an Ohio State quarterback that's done anything.
That is a good point. It's going to be Justin Fields.
Craig Krenzel.
You shut up and be quiet.
This guy sucks.
Let's see here.
Can we go back 50 years or 40 years? How about 35 years? How about an undrafted quarterback by the name of Mike Tomczak? Let's go old school here. Anybody want to talk about him?
Oh, wow.
Ring.
How about T-Zak?
Did you take the DeLorean back to get that pick, Karen?
Drove it all the way home, baby.
All right, let's go back out to Troy here. Stop making phone calls from Hillsborough County Jail. Roger, that's actually pretty funny. I'm going to actually give him that.
Shout out Orient Road Jail. Shout out Orient Road Jail.
You have a collect call from an inmate in the Hillsborough County Correction Facility.
There you go. That's the future there with Troy and
I don't know anything about that.
And Pasco. Oh, yeah. Dave says the Traskade is strong with Peter. Sorry, love you, Peter, but you just don't want to give Trask a chance. Give Peace a chance. Give Trask a chance. I'm giving him a chance, but what I'm telling you is I have major questions about it, and I'd rather have
Trask we trust.
You shut up and be quiet.
This guy sucks.
James has a great quote here. This draft will overlap the NFL draft. Laugh out loud. It will. Sorry, James.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have at my hand
Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring. Hello, this is Nick Cesario with the Houston Texans.
Oh, there's no trades here, JC.
What do you mean there's no trades? You didn't establish that in the beginning.
No trades. No trades.
We'll offer you 12, 65, and 161 for this pick.
I need to get in character real quick. I need to get in Roger Goodell character. Can I get some booze from the other four?
Here we go. Hold on.
With the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select
nobody.
Bijan Robinson, running back, University of Texas.
Does that really surprise anybody here? They're drafting another offensive player.
Well,
James, please.
Joe, really quick, explain yourself with Bijan Robinson. Besides the obvious, he's a generational talent, but you had Tyler Algier. You go with another running back? Explain yourself here, Joe.
Okay, let me explain myself. As you guys remember what I said before we went live with the draft, when you guys brought me in, I was on the Christian Gonzalez bandwagon. I still kind of am on the Gonzalez bandwagon. But then as I was writing my article about Jahmyr Gibbs, about, let's say Bijan, we don't pick him, and maybe we can get Jahmyr Gibbs in the second round at 44 overall. I started looking back at what happened in a year known as 2016. I think Falcons fans liked that season up until a certain incident happened, and I can't remember what happened with that.
Go ahead.
But we had Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman. We had a thunder and lightning backfield, a speed back and a power back. We have our power back right now in Algier because I'll be honest. I mean, he got 1,035 yards. First time that a Falcons running back got 1,000 yards in a season since 1978, which is insane as a rookie back. And then on top of that, you have to add in Algier did it while being out week one. He was healthy scratch in week one. So he didn't even play and still got 1,000 yards. But when you add in a player like Bijan Robinson, his style, I watched some of his tape. I listened to some of the scouts. I was listening to the podcast talking about this kid. I listened to him on some interviews, and I'm like, okay, this kid actually knows what he's doing. I get the negativity of picking a running back high in the draft because of the dwindling importance of the position in today's NFL. But in a time like this, you add Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Matt Collins, Scotty Miller, Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson.
Okay. All right. You don't have to explain yourself any more than that. I like the pick, although I
love his passion.
I love his passion. Joe, appreciate the time as always, my friend. Definitely don't be a stranger here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
Hey, I'm again, Peter. I'm thankful to all you guys. If you ever need Falcons talk during the season, like, just talk about the games when the weeks come, I'm more than happy to join you guys. Pleasure meeting you guys. For the guys I just met, and James and Harry the Greek, I just met them for the first time. Gentlemen, pleasure. I've been in JC's Twitter spaces before. Great guy. Peter, you're a great guy. I thank you guys so much, and I just hope that whatever happens in this year's draft, well, we're all going to have fun.
All right. Good stuff there. Joe Carlino, thanks a lot for your time here on The Evolution.
Thank you, sir.
We buy you lunch. All right, my friend. We'll get you out of here on that. Very passionate, and he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to the Falcons. Harry, do you like this pick of Bijan Robinson to the Atlanta Falcons? This could actually happen because this has been the prevailing rumor here the last couple days.
Yeah. The Falcons will be the Falcons like the Raiders will be the Raiders.
Okay. All right. So that's it.
I mean, it would surprise me if I hear him with the 5th pick in the NFL draft. They're picking defensive lineman James Canada out of retirement.
Well,
guys. James, that was a little funny when you got to admit that.
That's okay. And James is ready to
on
move
today's
on.
paychecks. James would be like, "Sign me up, man. Give me the pads."
Bijan Robinson, a generational talent. I've heard a comparison from a guy off air by the name of Luke Easterling of Athlon Sports, Saquon Barkley. All right, hold on, Roger. Let me put you on hold here. Stand by. Be quiet. James, Bijan Robinson to the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, that's what everyone's talking about. I thought they would have gone Christian Gonzalez. This one, the bolster that the secondary. They need help everywhere. They're going to go offense probably, but I mean, he is the type of talent. I think that when you do have a talented running back like that, to take him in the top 10 is not that much of a reach.
Right.
So I mean, no one's going to be mad. And I think I've heard a lot of Falcon fans say, they missed on Todd Gurley years ago, and they never want to miss like that again at the running back position. So if he's there, they're probably going to take him.
Oh, wait a minute. So you mean they didn't take a homegrown kid again? Oh, amazing by the Atlanta Falcons. JC, I'm just saying, man, that pisses me off when you didn't take Justin Fields and you had him. You didn't take Todd Gurley. I'm just saying. JC, go ahead. Expound on it.
Yeah, I think Atlanta would likely, in this scenario, like to move back. Does anyone want to move up? That's the question. Because, as James just said, they have got holes all over the place. I think defense is what they need. Trading for Jeff Okudah, I think they could still go cornerback here, which I think is the best. There's no denying Bijan's talent. He's a top 5, He's the second best player in this draft behind Jalen Carter, in my opinion. But I just think Tyler Algier gave you good production. You have an offensive line and a system right now in place that allows you to run the ball effectively. They did it last year. So I just don't see that being as big of a need as a defensive side of the ball. Yet also where they're picking right now at 8, I don't know if there's a player that you can make a case for other than one of those cornerbacks to take that early. I know Lucas Van Ness has been thrown about a little bit, but I still think that's a little early for them. I think in a perfect world, they can move down, much as I was trying to do with my pick, gain capital, and then also be able to address, defensive needs that they have on that side of the ball.
All right, good stuff there. Of course, Mr. Roger Shue, the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
All right, you need the draft chime. You ready to go?
Ring, 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 ring.
Stay off the phone. Don't answer the phone.
Go ahead, Roger.
Texans are trying to move up.
Shut up.
Well,
No, don't answer that phone, Roger. I could tell that he wants to make a trade.
with the number 9 pick in the draft, the Chicago Bears take Paris Johnson.
Wow, there you go. Paris Johnson. I like the pick a lot. Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. Roger, explain yourself. Why do you go with this? Is he a left tackle? Is he a right tackle, in your opinion?
Actually, I would have to say right, but I'm going to defer to the expert, Harry the Greek. Let him explain.
All right, Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. This is a dream scenario for Justin Fields.
The Greek guy is deferring to the expert.
Oh, shut up with your Greekites. All right, go ahead, Harry the Greek.
Look, he's one of the better. Look, man, the Chicago Bears need a lot of help, especially on the offensive line. I think the only line that was worse than the Bears last year was in Atlanta. Just saying that, but
right.
Paris Johnson, 320 pounds. He can play the left side. He can play the right side. I do like the kid Jones that they drafted. I think he was like a 5th or 6th round draft pick last year. He never made the same mistake twice. He started getting a lot better on the fly. Paris Johnson, let me tell you something. He's got a lot of upside, and I think he's going to be great. How about you, James?
I like this pick a lot because you can't get a quarterback and then never put pieces around him to protect him. And everyone keeps talking about Chicago needs weapons, but those weapons are no good if you don't have, the mass around the quarterback to protect them. Justin Fields is talented, but he can't do it from his back. Paris Johnson has one thing you can't teach. That's size and strength. He's a big boy, long arms, and I think that he's going to be good. I mean, I like this pick a lot. I'm glad, and I really hope that Chicago addresses the offensive line because I hate seeing Justin Fields getting beat down like a rag doll.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And there's also a question of Darnell Wright. This is where a lot of Bucs fans could be watching because this is where the run of offensive linemen could go after the quarterbacks. JC, Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State, great pick for the Chicago Bears and Roger Shue.
Yeah, I think he's the best offensive tackle in this draft class. Now, I don't think he's the best to start right away. He's going to start right away, but I don't think he's the best prospect in this class that's going to be a dominant day one starter. I think there's a lot of refinement to his game that needs to, but much like Tyree Wilson and the Will Anderson debate, I think he's got the highest ceiling out of any of these tackles, much like last year with Evan Neal and Ike Ekwonu. He's in that mold for me. Higher ceiling. But I think if you're looking at the tackles there, I think Darnell Wright has the higher floor. So him coming in right away, Darnell Wright, I think is going to give you an immediate starter who's going to be able to handle his own and just ball out. I think Paris Johnson's going to have some bumps and bruises along the way as he refines his technique, as he gets to that NFL game. But I definitely think he's got the highest ceiling out of any tackle in this draft, and he's a potential stud, potential Hall of Famer down the line. Just as I said last year with Ike Ekwonu.
All right, let's go out to our phone lines here. Because I got Roger on here. I'm going to go out to the Chicago connection, or I think Roger's gone. Let's go out to Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Roger Shue selects Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. What do you think about that pick?
I like the pick. I also think that if they can get the option to move down a couple picks and get either the other two offensive linemen, I'd be happy with that too. But, I mean, everybody keeps selling this offensive line from last year a little bit on the short side. Let's call it like it is, guys. They were ranked 14th last year by Pro Football Focus, and they do put the official ranks out there for the offensive lines. Let's call it once again like it is. Justin Fields missed guys wide open down the field. He made bad decisions. He's fumbled the ball 28 times so far in his career. Has he been sacked a ridiculous amount? I think it's 71 times or maybe even 91 times at this point. Yes, I get that. They need offensive line help in the worst way. I love the Paris Johnson pick. But let's see how it all works out. They're loaded up with offensive weapons. If he gets the time, is he going to make the throws and hit the open receivers? And I think getting Robert Tonyan from the Packers, I think that's going to help him out considerably, along with the other moves that they made in the offseason. I love the pick, guys. It's got to be offensive line if one of the defensive studs don't move down the line.
I'll tell you right now, Devin Weatherspoon out of Illinois is also, on the board. If he's on the board tomorrow night with an offensive lineman, do you think this defensive coaching staff would favor a Weatherspoon being a local kid and showing he's a ball hawk, like Big Game James said, over Johnson Jr.?
If they went defense in the first round and once again decided to shy away from helping Justin Fields like everybody thinks he needs the help, I think there will be a huge uproar and you got to take the lineman. What do you think over there, guys?
I think Paris Johnson Jr. probably goes at 3. And if that's the case, I think Skoronski's a guard. I just do. I think taking Witherspoon at 9 is a very, very realistic choice. I don't, if he's there, or even Christian Gonzalez, I definitely think those are realistic possibilities for this Bears team. And maybe they come back in the second round. Maybe they trade up with 2 second-round picks. Maybe they do something and they get a guy like DeJuan Jones in the second, or maybe an Anton Harrison in the first if the Bucs don't take him at 19 and if he falls a bit. I think they can still address tackle in the second round or late in the first if they choose to move up, and I would not be shocked to see them take one of those cornerbacks if they're sitting there at 9.
Wow, and I tell you right now, you go with Kyler Gordon last year, and you also go with Brisker, so you're trying to build that back end at the end of the day, and Matt Eberflus is that type of defensive guy where they think differently. We can all talk about, Justin Fields and how he needs help, but at the end of the day, those defensive-minded coaches, and that's why you don't necessarily hire those guys, they're thinking defense. They're thinking, we just need our quarterback not to turn over the ball. We can run the ball there with Devontae Foreman, or Bijan Robinson's on the board. Maybe you take him because he's a generational talent. But I'm thinking more of the lines of we got to make our defense, one of the best, and we got to go in that back end. I don't know.
What do you think, Harry? Do you think they move back a couple picks, still get the offensive linemen, even if the two top the cornerbacks are there? Because I do like that with the secondary. When you put Jackson, you put Brisker and Gordon, and you have Jalen Johnson, and obviously the rookie coming in. You see what Sauce Gardner's done for the Jets. So what do you think, Harry?
I got to tell you, man, and I like to goof around and have a lot of good times and everything else, but I will get really serious when I say this. The Chicago Bears don't need a corner. Their secondary is just fine. They've addressed that. In the offseason, they went after all those linebackers. They're solid there. They need pass rushers on that defensive line.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they're not going to go get this in the draft in the first round. They are going to go for offensive help. I'll get to the offensive side of it real quick here in just a minute. But on the defensive side of the football, they are going to go after some players in the mid to later part of the rounds of the draft, and they're also going to start getting players that are starting to get cut. They are not that far off on their secondary and their linebackers, but they're a landslide away, especially from pass rushers right now on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, look, I can appreciate a lot of people's frustrations. A lot of people are pro Fields and anti Fields. I'm the guy that's kind of in the middle, but I'm also a realist. I watched this young man play at Ohio State. I broke down a lot of tape with him. And anybody that wants to tell me that they thought he was just a physically running type of quarterback, they're incorrect. In college, he was a passer. Hold on. He was a passer that could run. Okay. In the NFL, they had to transition him into a running quarterback that could pass. That's been the problem. That's where the inaccuracies come from. Hey, man, that's like doing 20 wind sprints in the course of a half, and now you're asking the guy to sit there and get accurate to throw the ball 40 yards downfield. Can't do it. Ain't going to happen. Won't happen. You have got to be able to read defenses.
I can do that 3 times on Sunday, my friend. I could do that 3 times on Sunday, but I can't get off the couch because I'm too busy watching damn football on Sunday.
I understand. I understand that, but I honestly think that the game is going to slow down for this young man, and I think the offense is going to be a lot different this year. Man, there were some flashes. When they played the Philadelphia Eagles in the first half, I'm telling you right now, he completely outplayed Jalen Hurts in that game. Completely outplayed him. You got to see what this young man was all about. But, man, you could really tell where they were lacking. Receiver help, tight end help. The running game was non-existent.
He's learning a new scheme too last year. So, being in the second year, so you're going to see some big jumps from this team. And I do think that they can possibly compete for a wild card next year. And if it's not next year, then the future is bright as long as Fields develops and progresses. And I think he has the ability and the talent to do that for our football team there, Harry. It's the Chicago Bears. So
hold on a sec here. All right, enough of that. Great stuff, Travis. Anything else here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend?
Just real quick, and Harry, I'll be up in the city this weekend after Friday, so I'll get a true feel for what the city feels on the draft, or at least for the first couple days of the draft. So
it should be a lot of fun, man. Travis, it was a great call. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
Harry. Appreciate you guys.
Hot takes for Travis. There you go on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Great job, Travis. All right, good stuff there. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Really quick, because I know we want to get to this draft, and I appreciate if you guys got to get out of here. You guys can get out of here. Harry,
at this point, we're not going to finish till 2 a.m.
Well, no, we're not. I don't think we're going to go the full 30 picks here. We're going to probably go to 19 with Christopher Cole.
I did have a question for Big James, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's that?
When we were talking about Justin Fields, I mean, you break a lot of film down. I mean, the guy is a passer who can run the football. Why did they have to do this to this young man? Why did they almost ruin his career in year 2?
You want my honest opinion?
Yeah, I want the honest opinion.
It's another black athletic quarterback that can run the ball. So they put the ball in his hands and want him to use his legs.
But the guy's a hell of a passer.
No, but he had no protection. He had to tuck the ball. He had to go. Yes, he had the fumbles. He didn't protect it well when he was running the ball. Again, he's a quarterback, not a running back. He's not tucking and putting the ball away. But that's why I say offensive line is a great pick. And I hope, and I know, people keep saying that they need their just offensive line, but look, sacked 71 times and dude, that is ridiculous. I don't give a damn who you are. You can hit that many times, you're going to be inaccurate. You're going to get happy feet. you're not going to be able to set up in the pocket and throw. Because once you start getting hit, you don't like it.
No, nobody likes it.
No one likes to get hit.
Nobody likes to get hit. All right, we'll read these comments really quick when we get back to the draft. You know all too well there, big game James Canada, former defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Indianapolis Colts. Let's see here. Mike T helped the Steelers. Burrow made to the Super Bowl, son, OSU product, but out of LSU. Enough with the nonsense there. He transferred from OSU.
He didn't sniff the grass at Ohio State. Move on.
No, move on. Exactly. He's on crack because I think Warwick Dunn had a 1,000-yard season before with the Falcons. Jeremiah again. Okay. Troy says, I like this caller calling Fields for what he is, a running back trying to play quarterback. Russ says, how about Jake Hayner, quarterback? We're not there yet. I think he's more of a second-day player. Darnell Wright is the only tackle I would move up for if I'm a Bucs fan. I think there's a lot of Bucs fans out there that feel the same way. I don't know who that is, but thanks a lot for commenting. And they're hoping that he lasts until 19. But for me, it's either Paris Johnson Jr. there at number 9 for the Bears or Darnell Wright. And if Johnson Jr. does go to number 3, like JC is saying, then Darnell Wright to me is the most likely selection out of Tennessee at the end of the day. Fields needs to quit the NFL.
All the pundits have him going to Chicago.
Yeah, for the U.S. Olympic track and field team.
This guy sucks.
All right, let's move on, guys. Number 10 here, the Philadelphia Eagles. Who wants to take this selection?
I'll take it.
All right, JC, go ahead.
Let's end the slide. Now, I know they signed James Bradbury and Darius Slay in free agency. They also lost Sean Gardner Jr., but it's just too good of a talent. It's the blue chip prospect, one of the only top guys in this draft, I think.
Hold on.
And the Philadelphia Eagles right here, they could go two ways. They could take a tackle, but I think we're going to give them Devin Witherspoon here out of Illinois, cornerback. Just makes too much sense. Howie Roseman likes to draft those defensive backs. Essentially, the deals for Bradbury and Slay can be released after 1 year with minimal cap damage to them. Witherspoon makes a lot of sense here. Should have been drafted in the first 10 picks, or before this, but we'll take him right here at 10.
All right, there you go. I mean, what do we think about that, Harry? That's a steal if you can get him at number 10 with that secondary, improve that defense at the end of the day. You could also go Nolan Smith out of Georgia. They have a propensity, Leo Ward, of doing that. Yes, of doing that because they got, and I'm trying to think of the damn linebacker from last year. I can't think of him. N'Kobe Dean, and they also drafted the big hoss in the middle defensive
Jordan Davis.
There you go, Jordan Davis. So what do we think of that selection there, Devin Witherspoon to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, pretty soon you're going to be calling them the Philadelphia Bulldogs,
I'm
not
telling
the
you.
Eagles anymore. I'm telling you what. But then again, I mean, they just spit NFL players out like they're changing their socks, for Christ's sakes. No, they're definitely going defense. Losing Gardner Johnson and losing a couple of other fine players, especially their linebacker position. I don't know of any linebackers that are worthy to take right now in the first round. But yeah, if Witherspoon's available, you got to go after him.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. Big game, James. I mean, what do you say? How do you like this pick, and how does he fit in with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think he fits that system well, the way they play. I was thinking a different player there, and that was just a defensive lineman to me, thinking Mr. Cansey from University of Pittsburgh, because I know all the Fletcher Cox probably won't be back at the end of this year. They're going to lose a lot of defensive linemen, but at the same time, that if the draw comparisons to Sauce Gardner, that makes you feel like you have to take a cornerback of that talent right there in this draft.
Is he that good?
Only time will tell.
No, really, is that kid that good? I've watched him.
Witherspoon is good. I mean,
I know he's good, but is he Sauce Gardner good? I mean, because
think about it. Sauce Gardner did what he did at Cincinnati, and a lot of people said he's good, but we don't know yet. And then he got into the NFL, and it transitioned into, damn, he's that good. Yeah. I believe it's the same kind of thing. Witherspoon's at Illinois. They're not known for. I mean, they just start getting back on top. To be competitive in their conference with Bielema as the coach.
Yeah.
And
thanks, Lovie Smith.
Yeah, exactly. Lovie Smith did draw a lot of those guys to that that program, and Bielema took advantage of it. But he made those kind of plays, and I think he's that kind of talent that you'll see him, rise to the top at even a higher level.
You know what? I gotta tell a quick story here because that's what we do a lot. I'm up in New Jersey with the wife, and we're over at Monmouth Park, and we're in a William Hill sports book, and Illinois is playing Iowa. Now, if anybody remembers the game from this past season, there was like no points scored, and the over and under just in the first half, it was 17. So that, for people that don't understand what that is, that's the combined score from both teams in the first half. You can either bet over 17 or under 17. And 17, I don't care where you're playing, high school, college, pro, they are begging you to bet over. Illinois had one of the top rated defenses, but they did play in a weak conference. And I'm like, they ain't going to score any points. The score was 3-3 at halftime. I couldn't, during live wagering, even in the second half, it got to the point I kept pushing the go button for the under for the game that they just went, we're not taking any more bets. The final score was 6-3.
Yeah.
And by the way, Witherspoon, 2 picks in that game.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right, so let's move on, gentlemen. The Tennessee Titans are on the board. Big game. James, you want this?
Yes, I do.
All right, let me go out to you here. Let me go ahead and get the draft chime. Here we go.
And with the 11th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee.
I love this pick. I'm telling you right now. This is a great pick, and this may be a pick where you look back and say, you know what? He was better than Paris Johnson Jr., much like Tristan Wirfs. Very clean prospect. You know, technically he needs to get it just a little bit better, but overall, you could put him right in, plug and play, right tackle, either right tackle or left tackle. You got to protect Ryan Tannehill. You also got to build that offensive lineup for Derrick Henry. I love this pick by Big Game James. Is that what you were thinking when you made the selection for the Tennessee Titans at 11?
I mean, they definitely need help up front. They made moves this year. They let Taylor Lewan go. Their quarterbacks ran for their lives. They're solid on the defensive line. The only other thing that I could see them doing in the first round is wide receiver, but I think the offensive line position is a bigger need. And right now, Darnell Wright is shooting up boards like a rocket lifting off at Canaveral. You know what I mean? He's flying up boards. I think watching him lately, I'm thinking he's the best tackle in the draft that no one's calling out right now. So I think this is a great pick at 11 for them.
JC, you agree with them? We talked a lot ad nauseum about Mr. Darnell Wright lasting until number 19, but there certainly seems like there could be a possibility for a run on offensive linemen, especially in the teens, right?
Yeah, I think Darnell Wright is the best plug-and-play starter in the draft at tackle. Do I think he's got the highest upside? I think that belongs to Paris Johnson Jr. and probably the guy who will probably go next at 13 to the Jets, Broderick Jones. I think they have really high upside there. But as far as you want to talk about floor, a guy who's going to come in, be a starter and be a mauler and just be an effective guy that you can start potentially. If offensive tackles were given Rookie of the Year consideration, I think that's the way he's going to play. He's going to play at that high of a level coming in. It's the Bucs' pipe dream to have him there at 19. I could see them potentially doing a small move up to get him if he falls. But this run right here, starting at 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, heck, even 16 and 17 with Washington and Pittsburgh is going to make it very difficult for the Bucs to land him at 19 without a potential move up. Love Darnell Wright. Think he's the best day one starter at tackle in the draft with the highest floor, just not the highest ceiling.
All right, good stuff there, guys. Can you hang out for a little bit longer, or are you guys gonna get out of here? It's been too
I'm on the clock, baby.
Oh, that's right. You are on the clock. So
and I gotta rip this. I gotta rip the Pats fan too once he makes his pick at 14.
All right, there you go, Mr. JC. Let me go ahead and get the draft chimes. Here we go.
With the 12th pick in the NFL draft, Houston Texans, after selecting impact defensive player at number 2, come back and get their quarterback of the future and Will Levis at number 12.
Whoa! All right, so Will.
That's
Levis,
a good one, JC.
Good value there.
He tried to move up several times at 8, at 9. Nobody wanted to move back. We're thrilled to get him at 12. We still need a lot of work on this offense and on this defense, but to get an impact player at defensive end and to get an impact player at quarterback Feel really good coming out of this draft. We still got a second and 2 third-round picks to address the wide receiver position and other positions in this draft. I think they would be ecstatic landing Levis at 12.
Great pick. Who's next, Pete?
Well, I've got real quick. Big game, James Levis at 12. I would say, guys, why not Hendon Hooker? Because you got Davis Mills there, Harry the Greek, your guy. You could play him for a year. You could develop Hooker, make sure he gets the offense and also heals from the injury. So why not Hooker over Levis?
I don't think Mills will last an entire season. I don't think you're going to need a quarterback to play. Levis being there at that pick, I think that was a great pick by JC to go ahead and snag him before someone else traded up to do it. Because in some mock drafts now, they don't have Levis getting out of the top 5. So for him to be there at 12, I think that's I think it's a smart pick. And because now you got your defense, you got 2 positions of high need on your roster in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you right now, the rumor is that the Colts are hot and heavy for Will Levis at 4. Do you believe that, Harry? What do you see with this kid Levis out of Kentucky?
I see a not as good Jay Cutler style quarterback.
Wow.
The guy could throw the ball from end zone to end zone, but I think in the right system, and you let him sit a year, oh yeah.
All right.
For the record, I would have taken Anthony Richardson at 12 too if he was there either. I think that's more of a Nick Caserio type guy. Look at Lamar Jackson and what the Bucs have tried. I mean, the Pats have tried to do, get those quarterbacks that can move. Jacoby Brissett, a couple of these other guys. I think they would have much rather have him at 12, but Levis is a good consolation product.
And I tell you right now, I think that the Titans will be one of those teams that actually tries to trade up for a Richardson, because it seems like, guys, they have lost a lot of confidence in Malik Willis, and they should, because that kid looks like he's completely lost in the sauce. He was
I thought Tennessee was going to take him. That was why I was trying to move up before Tennessee to get Levis.
All right. Good stuff here. The Jets are on the board here. You want to take this?
Absolutely. I would love to take this one.
All right. Of course, trading for Aaron Rodgers. So who is Harry the Greek going to select?
With this pick, the New York Jets are going to take Miles Murphy, defensive end, Clemson.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't address the offensive line here because it's too much value. I'm not kidding you. There's way too much value. I think this young man is an absolute stud. He can rush from the outside standing up, or he can dig his hand right down in the dirt and go.
Yeah, and you get to build that defense. Again, though, there's questions about Mekhi Becton. You invest a first-round pick in him. By the way, you pass on Tristan Wirfs. Thanks
2 games.
Yeah. And thanks to the Jets for doing that. You got Quentin Richardson. You're trying to build that defense. I mean, does that make sense there? Miles Murphy from Clemson, big game, James?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I like Miles Murphy. He's one of the guys I said if he fell into 19, that's a position that the Buccaneers should consider drafting if their offensive lineman of need wasn't there. I like the way he plays. I think he can play inside out as the 3-4, that 4-3 defense. He has really good hands and he gets after the quarterback very well.
Yeah, and right now I'm just producing. I mean, JC, what do you think about the pick? Murphy to the Jets.
Yeah, I would have gone 2 other different ways with this pick. I think Broderick Jones, for the reasons we just mentioned, Mekhi Becton's ability to, not stay healthy, and let's see what he can do. But Dwayne Brown's going to be 38 at the start of the season, and he's their other tackle. The other one missed a bunch of games as well that they have on the roster. So I think they have 3 guys on the roster that at tackle, but none of them really excite you with as far as age, health, and ability. But I also would have looked at Jackson Smith-Njigba as well, pairing him with Garrett Wilson and giving you that inside slot. You'd have Lazard and Njigba to go along with Wilson. I think that'd be a trio of weapons for them. So interesting pick with Miles Murphy. I'm not as high on him as other people. I see flashes, but I don't see consistency. So, but I will say, if you're the Patriots right now, who's coming up on the clock, and you have Broderick Jones, Christian Gonzalez, and Jackson Smith-Njigba staring at you in the face, you have to be excited about those prospects.
All right, we'll pick up the pace here because your cat is getting out of control, Harry. We'll go.
There you go, Pete. That's for you.
Okay, well, I got you. Thanks, Harry, for that. I appreciate you guys giving your time and your effort tonight. The Patriots on the board. Let me try to call the person that's supposed to be here, and if he doesn't answer, JC, you will make the pick because this is what happens. You need to be on, and you're not tuning in. All right, going once.
I can't help it, Big James. Sorry.
It's all good. My dog is right here.
Oh, there you go. My dog is laying down.
Can I borrow your dog, please?
He looks like he's died there.
This is Bandit, by the way. He's cool.
Oh, there you go, Bandit. All right. Well, I guess he's not there. So with that being, well, now he's okay. Hold on a sec here. Let's try him again.
Who are we trying to get a hold of, Peter?
This is a guy by the name of Joe Snyder, and he is making his selection for the New England Patriots. As
you see this, right? There you go.
Does not care at this point.
Bandit wants to make the pick. It's the Patriots, for God's sake. Who cares?
Well, JC does.
Watch your mouth.
JC.
Yeah, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. You chose violence today when you mess with the Patriots and JC Allen now. All right, and Joe, I'm sorry. I guess I'll refund your money. I told you to tune in, and you didn't tune in. You didn't call in. So, JC Allen, let's go out to you, Mr. Patriot fan. We'll hit the draft time. Here we go.
14th pick in the NFL draft. New England Patriots select Christian Gonzalez, Oregon, cornerback.
Great pick.
Looked at Broderick Jones. Needed a tackle. Looked at Broderick Jones. Looked at Jackson Smith in the Jigba. Could use a wide receiver. Also really took a look at Nolan Smith here as the edge rusher. But the value's there. Christian Gonzalez is the value right there. And you got to take him when he's there.
Ball hawk, lanky, great corner. I'll tell you what, he can get after it. He can absolutely get after it. Great pick.
Big game.
I like it. I saw highlights of him when he was at Colorado before transferring to Oregon, and I was like, this kid is going to be a great pro. Can press, can run, does well in zone also, so he can play multiple coverages. He can skies. He can roll the coverage. I think that he's going to be a really good pro as well. And like I said, I even liked him better than Witherspoon. And when I say better, it was like, smidget. So I think this is a really good pick because he's game ready.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers here. I'll go full screen. Yes, I'm going to take them. Wow. Green
Bay sucks.
They're going to do something they never did with Rodgers? Are they going to do something they never did with Rodgers?
Go ahead, do it, Peter. Give it.
With the 15th overall selection, the Green Bay Packers select Jackson Smith Njigba from Ohio State.
Rodgers is pissed.
Of course he is.
Wide receiver.
The top wide receiver out of Ohio State. You pair him with Christian Watson. The Packers haven't done that, but
local product too, by the way, Christian Watson, if I'm not mistaken, just on the other side of Tampa.
The Tampa Tornado right there. He showed flashes of brilliance later on in the season. Didn't necessarily have the best first game, but after that was able to overcome that. You get the best wide receiver there. Let's help our quarterback out at the end of the day. Harry, what do you think of the selection?
I think it's a great pickup, and anything to make Mr. Hippie himself get pissed off, it's great. What do you think, Bandit? You don't like Aaron Rodgers, do you?
Zava doesn't approve of this pick. Aaron Rodgers is hereby fourth name.
This is what Zava. I think of Aaron Rodgers. Here you go. That's for Aaron Rodgers.
Great. Big game, James. Njigba here.
Hey, that's a great pick. I saw this kid play in high school here, and I was like, dude, this kid is even at the high school level, I was like, he's going to play on Sundays. And then watch it transition to the college game. I like this pick a lot. And there's something Green Bay hadn't done enough of. And he gets to go play with my man, Romeo Doubs.
Well, there you go. I mean, you got three young wide receivers, and they haven't done it in a while. So I feel like the Packers would do something like this, especially with the Rodgers story today, saying my internet is not good enough. That's the reason why I didn't stay in contact with the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, right.
I can actually refute. My buddy lives in Miami in like a $1 billion penthouse, and his service sucks so bad that he either FaceTime audio chats me or FaceTimes me just to talk to me because his service sucks. So I found that a bit believable from Rodgers. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Or from Zava. I should say Zava.
I am the chef of the poo-poo soup. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, number one. Okay, he was too busy drinking his kratom on his 4-day hiatus. Are you kidding me? Give me a break, man. I mean, I really hope he does well for the Jets because I truthfully do root for the Jets. I like underdogs. I really do. But I am so glad to be rid of this clown from the NFC North. You have no idea.
That's because he owns your team.
I understand
minority stake.
Oh, you know what, JCA? I know where you live, pal.
All right, guys. Let's go out to the Washington Commanders. Who's taking this pick? Harry, you gonna take this pick?
I'd love to take the Washington. You know what?
James
Let's
wants it. James wants it.
Big game. Go ahead, take it.
Something I think the Washington Commanders need
Right.
and can get right here. Offensive tackle from the University of Georgia, Broderick Jones.
Love it. Absolutely good pick there. Got a young quarterback in Sam Howell. They're going to go with him, of course. I'm trying to think of who the backup is. The backup is the guy that came from Cleveland. Man, it's been a long night, but I agree with you on that. He is raw. He does have some technical issues, but I think you could start him at left tackle and feel good about that. Harry, what do you think about the pick?
I thought he'd be. Honestly, there are so many good players in this draft, in my opinion, that there's going to be a lot of them falling out of the first round.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this particular offensive lineman could end up panning out being one of the better ones in this entire draft, if not the best.
Yeah.
He could.
Yeah.
Who's the next pick?
You've got the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I love this.
You know what? We got the guy right here out of Pittsburgh who's been sitting in the lobby very patiently. Mr. Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg. Would you like to choose the Pittsburgh Steelers pick here?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to take Broderick Jones, but Washington took him ahead of me here in this draft. So,
all right. So draft chimes. You ready?
Legacy pick.
With the 17th pick in the NFL draft in the first round, the Pittsburgh Steelers take Joey Porter Jr., cornerback.
I love this pick. It makes lots of sense to me. I mean, what's the reasoning that you choose Joey Porter Jr. in the first place here, Ralph, for the Steelers?
We need some cornerback help. We lost Cameron Sutton. We did replace with Patrick Peterson and the hood guy from the Buccaneers. So I think, or Neil. I'm sorry, his last name's Neil. Anyway, I think we need a cornerback. We need to get somebody that can intercept the ball a little bit, and also could be a shutdown corner. Joey Porter fits all the bill. Also, he's the son of Joey Porter, the linebacker that played for the Steelers and coach.
Yeah, and that seems to make sense for me. It makes sense of the pick. He's a good player.
Yes.
Harry, what do you say about Porter Jr. to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Seems to make sense to me, right?
You know what? Honestly, it was a really, really good pick. I probably would have went defense as well. I would have taken safety from Alabama, Brian Branch, personally. I did like him a lot. And there's another guy that I really liked a lot. And it's right on the tip of my tongue. Hold on. He was a defensive lineman from Iowa. Lucas Van Ness, I believe is his name.
That's correct.
Yeah, Van Ness.
I'll tell you what, this guy's a dog. I mean, an absolute dog. I mean, you put him on Pittsburgh's defensive line, I think it's an immediate upgrade. But I think that would be my second choice. My top choice would have been the safety.
Well,
don't forget, we have that pick from Chicago. We start at number 32. So we start the second round. So we have that pick.
Right.
So we have plenty of time to get what we need.
The thing for me is TJ Watt's not able to stay healthy, so it would make sense for Van Ness there. The problem with Van Ness is at Iowa, he was a rotational player, only 14 tackles, but consequently enough here, big game James, he's been compared to JJ Watt. Is that what you see with Van Ness, or is that too lofty of a comparison?
I mean, that's tough. That's tough to put on any kid coming into the league to try to go and mimic JJ Watt. But he has flashes, and the thing is, a rotational player, but he gets after the passer. Coming into the league, maybe that's how you use him early on. He's not your every down defensive end, but you roll him in on those passing down situations until he can get acclimated to being that guy that can play run and pass situations. I like him, and I've had him down on my short list and saying that he's a person that I would, put an asterisk by to watch, depending on how my board was looking when it comes draft time.
All right, JC, how do you feel about that pick there, Joey Porter Jr. to the Steelers, and it makes sense, and then Van Ness himself.
Yeah, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Obviously, tackles a need. I think it's early for Anton Harrison for them. Joey Porter Jr. is the best cornerback on the board. Legacy pick. Van Ness makes some sense. So does Nolan Smith. But I think when you look at it, they have a bigger need at cornerback than they do at edge rusher. And
that's true.
It just makes too much sense.
All right, good stuff there, guys. We'll go ahead and stay right there. Let's go with the Lions. Who wants to take this pick?
I'll take the Lions.
All right, JC Allen with the Lions here at number 18.
With the 18th pick in the draft, the Detroit Lions select defensive tackle Kalijah Kancey Pitt.
Wow. Okay. All right.
That's where I had. Yes.
All right. Go ahead and expound on this big game, James, because you jumped up for joy there. You had fire in your eye. You were ready to suit up again on that helmet.
If Aaron Donald and Warren Sapp were you took DNA from both and put them in the lab, I think you come up with Kalijah Kancey. I mean, this kid has
that good,
a great motor.
Yeah, he is good.
Great get off. Some people say he's a little undersized, but he plays angles very well. He does not get blocked. He twists those shoulders. He dips. He rips. He stays low to the ground, and he will pursue the ball from the backside. If you get him in a one-gap defense where all he has to do is penetrate that one gap, you're winning. I mean, to draw those comparisons, but when I saw it, I was like, this kid is going to be a steal because I thought he was going to fall later in the draft. But, yeah, that's a great pick for Detroit. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
I love the pick, JC.
You grabbed Will Anderson.
James.
Go ahead, JC.
You grabbed Will Anderson.
I know. I watched him play at Pitt. I know exactly what Kalijah Kancey can do. And he had two good coaches there. Charlie Partridge, his defensive line coach, and Pat Narduzzi, our head coach. He was a defensive we have like the number one we lead the NCAA in sacks at Pitt for many years. So I mean, Kalijah Kancey, they're comparing him to an Aaron Donald. So I that's a good pick for Detroit. Dan Campbell's trying to get his team back up and running up there in Detroit, and I think he's doing a pretty good job. I think this year's going to be special for that.
I'll tell you right now, JC, if JC is the general manager of the Lions, he's getting an extension tonight. Will Anderson and Clancy there.
Clancy, there you go.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You build your line, and that's hurt that Lions defense last year. Very porous.
Yes.
Yeah, they got Hutchinson, Clancy, and Anderson now. Just three studs there. They've got a pretty decent linebacking core. They upgraded their secondary. Brian Branch was under consideration, but with 2 second-round picks, I think they can come back and grab a corner or a safety in the second round, as well as a linebacker if they wanted to, or a wide receiver. They had one of the best scoring offenses in the league last season, so I don't necessarily think they need to go offensive side of the ball early. If Bijan Robinson was here, that would be a real, I think hard to pass over. But at this point, Kalijah Kancey, I think, is great value, adds to what they need on defense, and is just going to be a home wrecker combined with Hutchinson and Anderson getting after the quarterback. These are the three guys you have to game plan against, and it makes Detroit deadly on defense.
How worried are you, Harry the Greek, being a Bears fan, that the Lions, that they made these two selections, even if they don't get these two guys at the end of the day, how good are they going to be in that division, in your opinion?
Detroit, they're an up-and-coming team. I honestly think that this division is going to be decided between two teams, and it's not Minnesota. I think it's going to be between Chicago and Detroit. I think the tides have completely turned. Yes, I'm a homer. Who's next, by the way?
And who's homer? Well, did you say homer? Because this team is next. All right, that's from the 70s. It certainly sounds like it's from the 70s. All right, let's go ahead and get him on. Mr. Christopher Cole here at number 19. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers
Let's
are on
go.
the clock. Are you ready to go here, guys?
Yes.
Who is your selection? Draft chimes? You want to talk about this, or you got the pick?
We got the pick.
All right, what is the pick at number 19?
Brian Branch out of Alabama.
He took my player.
I'm going to tell you right now, I love this pick, Christopher and nephew. Why did you make this
Christopher?
in the first place?
He's like a Winfield 2.0. He can come down from safety and play nickel.
Love it. I love the reasoning at the end of the day. It's a big-time need, guys. Again, going back to what JC said on Pewter Report, definitely read his Twitter, get on Pewter Report, because that's great information at the end of the day. He can play slot, he can play nickel, and also they want to take Winfield and put him back at his natural position. Harry the Greek, what do you think about Brian Branch here? Christopher Cole killing it here with the Alabama Crimson Tide player.
I got to tell you, man, it's a great pick. I was just talking about him. I do like to ruffle the feathers. By the way, Christopher, thank you so much for watching all the shows. They're not possible without you. You're awesome. But hey, I want everybody's opinion on this. How about the biggest lineman on the defense plays in the Big Ten, and you pair him up right next to Vita Vea? Mr. Keanu Benton, defensive tackle from Wisconsin. I know we're a slight reach. He's supposed to be probably a second-round pick. But, man, why not grab someone like him if you're going to go defense?
Because you're going to go Logan Hall. You drafted Logan Hall in the second round, and you think that he's going to either be a defensive end or a defensive tackle, right? Big game, James?
Yeah, I believe Logan Hall showed that he's going to be capable enough to fill a need and get more interior play next to Vita. I think you have to go secondary here. And Brian Branch is someone that I did a piece on earlier, going to before the combine happened. He's played corner before when he's needed to. He plays safety. He can play against the run. Some people tried to knock him for not having a lot of interceptions. He's on defense for a reason. You don't have to catch the ball as long as you knock it down and make tackles. And he's been praised for having a high football IQ for your secondary. That's your quarterback of the defense. I like that pick right there because I think you can still get another interior later to help address a need for defensive line interior.
How do you like his coverage skills, by the way, Big James?
I mean, he plays well. Not going to do a lot of man. Well, we do man with a lot of blitzing, but we like to blitz safeties a lot. There's something that he can do. He can come down. He can blitz. He can tackle. But I also believe he can cover. And there's no way you played in the SEC and had to play corner and safety for a Nick Saban defense without really being able to cover.
So he's not afraid to get his nose into the backfield.
No. The story on him is that he goes in and puts his face in it. He's not afraid at all to get in there and tackle. He likes to play in the box.
All right, good stuff there. Great analysis here, Ralph. Your thoughts on the Bucs picking Brian Branch out of Alabama?
Oh, Brian Branch is a good safety. The Steelers had him on their board. He was in a couple mock drafts. The Steelers are going to take him. We also need a little bit of help at safety as well, and whatnot. I think Brian Branch was a good pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was actually quite surprised. I thought they would go after a quarterback, try to build behind Trask and Baker Mayfield. But,
don't start. Don't start that nonsense with that.
And Trask we trust.
Shut up and be quiet, Harry the Greek with your Greekites. Be quiet there, David Koresh. JC Allen, dream scenario here, Branch at 19.
I don't know if it's a dream scenario. I think the dream scenario is still Darnell Wright at 19. But if you're looking at best players available, I think you're looking at Brian Branch and Nolan Smith here. Both of those a need for the Bucs, especially Shaq Barrett seems like he's right ahead on progress where he's supposed to be, but I think you need to get more speed in that situation at pass rusher. Joe Tryon-Shrink is an athlete, but he's not a burner guy, so I think Nolan Smith makes a lot of sense. As far as tackle, Anton Harrison is a guy who has been mocked here a bunch. I think it's too early for him. I would like to see them trade back a few spots, even if it's just with like the 22 to the Chargers or the Ravens or Minnesota, and grab an extra fourth-round pick there. And if they're going to take Anton Harrison, but if you're looking at best player available, out of need, Jason Light said in his pre-draft interview that we did with him is they look at nickel as a starting position. And right now on this Bucs team, they have 2 potential holes on their team, and that's at nickel and tackle. And if they feel like that nickel position is a bigger, especially because I think this team is going to win on defense, not so much as offense. One of these guys is going to be a game manager. I think the situation with going with Brian Branch is a hell of a pick. He comes in, he's a day one starter. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber player. I think he's in the running potentially for Defensive Player of the Year if he goes to the right system. He can blitz, he can cover, he's good in run support. He's got that flexibility with Antoine Winfield Jr., with Ryan Neal back there to be interchangeable at all 3 positions, and we know Bowles loves to have that. So I think it's an excellent pick if they don't decide not to go tackle or edge rusher in this position, where I think they could go later in the draft. Now, I don't think tackle they could go, but if they feel like they've got 2 solid prospects in Gedeke and Filer to compete for that right tackle position, and maybe take an interior lineman instead, which is a possibility, then yes, Brian Branch is an excellent selection here. Way to go, Chris Cole.
Not a surprise here, because Chris Cole has been one of the main fans, one of the main reasons why we do the Sports Web. I got to get some final thoughts from you guys here. You guys aced this. This was great. Any final thoughts?
We thought about trading down and getting Anton.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you made the right pick. I really appreciate you guys tuning into the Evolution. Christopher Cole, you are the man, my friend. Thank you very much. Thank you to his nephew there. Appreciate you guys. As always, we'll get you out of here. Love you guys. They're awesome. Real quick, I'm going to introduce you to Mark Mancini, and then we'll get you all out of here because we're going to do Turnbuckle Talk. Harry, I know you want to hang out and talk WWE, AEW action.
Dick the Bruiser.
Yeah, exactly.
Dusty
all right.
Rhodes.
The madman himself, Mark Mancini.
There he is.
Well,
Mark.
Well, let me just state, man, Christopher Cole, what an ace, man. What a great guy. This show's sweeping the country. I just got done throwing Dodger Nation in the Pacific Ocean. Do not come to Pittsburgh. And Harry, let me ask you something, a couple things.
Oh,
how does it feel? I kind of feel like I'm in the Brady Bunch looking down on you guys now. The Pittsburgh Pirates sitting on top of the National League Central. And also, did you guys have a parade in Chicago now when Aaron Rodgers is out of that damn division now?
Well, here, you can make me full screen. This is for you two, okay, guys?
First off, Leo. That's Leo.
All right. No, this is Leo and the other 2. Seriously? You guys had to go there about Aaron Rodgers? Bro, you know what? He sold me his stock. I got my team back. That's all I could say. I got my team back. Look, there's nothing like being a Bears and a Bucs fan. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. We both used to losing, and when we win, we're the greatest. It's just as simple as that.
Well,
this just in breaking news. Detroit has now taken over Aaron Rodgers' stock and will now be owning the Chicago Bears for the next some odd years.
Oh, wow.
JC has chose violence tonight here in the Greek.
JC, big game James looks like Robert Newhouse or Emmitt Smith there, man. Throw a cowboy jersey on.
I got to go out to this guy right here. Go ahead, big game James. Promote yourself here on the Sports Web, my friend.
Hey, thank you for having me again, guys. The show is Big Game Sports Buzz. You can catch us every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. You can also catch me dropping Big Games, Pewter Perspective, all on Facebook. I'm on YouTube, and I mean, I'm all mixed up just like this draft right now. Big Game Sports Buzz is on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at BG Sports Buzz or at JCan97. Just always trying to kick my sports perspective off to my fans.
Well, hey man, you hung out here.
You're awesome, brother.
Gave us your time. I owe you lunch. I owe JC lunch. Any of you guys that hung out with me for the hours, I owe you lunch.
You owe me wings still from the past bet 3 years ago.
Well, I definitely owe you that.
As long as it's not Hungry Howie's, we're good.
Shut up
yeah, really.
Right, I'm going to give you all Hungry Howie's if it keep it up.
Hey, I found out Peter didn't pay his bill at Hungry Howie's.
Oh, that's not true at all. That's a lie. That's rumors.
Peter's a good guy, man. But Peter, Toronto's going to take Tampa out, man.
Oh, those are fighting words. All right, big game, James. Thanks a lot for your time.
love this, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
James, if you notice, I'm not the only one that's like the chef of the shit soup here. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. I can tell.
Oh, I can tell that. All right,
I can feel it today, bro.
All right, good stuff there. Let me get him out of here. JC, go ahead and promote yourself, and then we'll go to Harry.
I love JC.
No, go to Harry first.
Oh, go to Harry first?
Yeah,
Okay.
that could take a little while. Get him off the stage.
Get out. Well, he probably wants to stay on and listen to the wrestling talk. That's the thing you don't know about.
Listen, I've got some opinions and stuff. Let's go. Turnbuckle talk, baby.
All right.
I am so happy. We're going to go turnbuckle talk after the Greek leaves the house.
Acknowledge us.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man, JCA, I really appreciate you coming on tonight with us. It's been awesome. Every time I get a chance to sit here, and get a chance to rub elbows with you, I can always go back and say, I did a draft show with JCA a couple of years ago down in St. Pete in the Edge District. And I'll tell you what, it was one of the better times I ever had. I'm like, I wonder who they're going to take. And JCA is like 2 minutes before the pick. Oh, they're going to take this player. You're out of your tree. With the 18th pick in the NFL draft, it was like 11 consecutive picks. I've never seen anything like it. You're an absolute genius. Anyway, I'm Harry the Greek. You can catch me Monday and Wednesdays right here on the Sports Web. And we're going to start giving picks out again for baseball. Unfortunately, I can hear people in the background kind of laughing. And as I always say, keep your bets low and your returns high. And if I pissed you off, I did my job. Have a great night.
All right, good stuff there. Harry the Greek, as always, professional handicap.
JCA, have a good one, guys. And you two down there, y'all have a really good day. Peter, much love. We'll talk to you
Harry,
later.
have a good one.
There you go, man, right there. Good
Harry.
stuff by Harry the Greek. Get him out of here, guys. You want to hang out really quick. I tell you what, let me take a commercial break. And when we come back, we will have our Turnbuckle Talk on the evolution of sports talk television. Keep it locked.
uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
All right, welcome back to the evolution of sports talk television. It's time for Turnbuckle Talk. The madman himself, Mr. Mark Mancini, former XPW announcer, Mancini Media. Of course, we got the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, and one of our special guests, and we're going to continue to do this, JC Allen of Pewter Report. He is a big-time wrestling fan. Let's get to it really quick here.
Wait, I'm jacked for this, Peter. Real quick, before we get in there, can I just make a comment on the draft real quick?
Sure, go for it, Mark.
Everybody's tripping over their heels and with the C.J. Stroud kid and Bryce Young. But I'm telling you, I don't understand why they don't go after Richardson or Stetson Bennett, man.
Wow.
Because when was the last time an Ohio State quarterback has been relevant in the NFL? You probably have to go back to Art the Riverboat Gambler Schleister.
Well, that's from the 80s there, and of course he got kicked out of the league, but I think it's going to be Justin Fields eventually. To answer your question, Richardson, there's lots of questions about him, but he's got lots of potential, so we shall see tomorrow night. With that being said, first and foremost, what do we think of the new heavyweight title that was revealed on Monday Night Raw here? JC, I'm going to go out to you, and then we'll go down the line with Mark and, of course, Ralph. But you love that title or what?
Big Gold 2.0. You got to love it.
Yeah.
I think it's about time. I think Vince screwed up royally, and I think Triple H is now trying to just backtrack some of his screw ups. And we've been saying this for a while now that there's just too much talent on this roster to have one championship, especially on a part-time person. And I think Triple H said it great, great for Roman. He did a great contract, and that's great for Roman, but it's not great for the WWE. And what's best for the WWE is having 2 titles. Now, will Roman eventually win that one and have all 3? Who knows? Probably not. But I love the look of it. I love the aesthetic. And I think it's about damn time that there's another title for some of this top talent to compete for. And I think there's more than enough deserving talent on the roster to be able to put their name in the hat for this title.
Madman, what do you think? The new title revealed by Triple H there, kind of a throwback to the Ric Flair title, WCW title. I mean, the right thing to do to break the titles up, in your opinion?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Being on the show with J.C. Allen and you and Ralph Williams, you landed a gig out there in Pittsburgh. Man, I'm so blessed to be a part of this. But I will tell you this, and we've talked about this, Peter and Ralph and JC, that if you only market a few guys in your organization, people are going to get frustrated. They're going to move on. We've seen this with the CM Punks. We've seen this with people calling out these part-time wrestlers. It's like sports. Can't market just 1-2 teams. The NFL has realized that. That's why every Thursday night there's a new team on there that's not the same teams. Same thing now they're realizing in the WWE. You got to have another belt. You got to put it around somebody. Maybe Bobby Lashley wears it. Maybe my favorite out there, Karrion Kross, but Scarlett holds this thing.
Of course. It's Scarlett that you care about. It's not Karrion Kross because he doesn't wrestle any matches at this point. Don't steal my thunder because that's the next question we're going to ask. But Ralph, what do you think of the title being revealed on Monday Night Raw?
Oh, I like the belt. I like the split of the brands and the belts, and I like the draft coming up. I think it's going to be a great thing. I like what Triple H is doing. As JC said, for the last 6 months or more, he's had to clean up Vince McMahon's big mess. I think it was a mess to put all the belts together like that. It's great. It's good competition. It's great during Survivor Series, SmackDown versus Raw. That's going to look real good like it did in the past, and I think it's going to be a great thing. I have some breaking news tonight that I just got. Naomi has signed a contract with Impact Wrestling.
Wow, there you go.
Oh, he stole my thunder.
Kind of surprising because I thought she would go to AEW or go back.
So did I.
And she went to Impact, which, I don't know. I mean, does anybody watch it anymore?
Impact's got to get a TV contract.
Well,
they don't have one.
I don't even know what channel they're on at the end of the day.
They're on a streaming service, Access TV.
Okay. Well, the next question I guess would ask, and I see you there, Andrew. I know you want to talk about the New York Giants, but we're having our Turnbuckle Talk. Let's wait patiently here because I know you're not a wrestling fan, and that's okay. Not everybody is on this show. These guys are. Who do you think is more likely to win the title, JC? Is it Seth Rollins? Is it Bobby Lashley? Is it Karrion Kross? Is it Gunther? Is it Drew McIntyre? Who wins this next title? To me, I think it's Seth Rollins.
I think with the brand split they're doing, I think Cody has to be the one to unseat Roman Reigns, right? So I don't think he's even in debate for it. He's got to go through his hard times or whatever you want to stupidly call it. I think if you're looking at this title, there's a few guys who are definitely deserving, and it really is going to depend on the draft and who goes where. With the brand split coming up, there's numerous factions, and you've got Imperium, you've got obviously the Bloodline, but one of the other ones is Judgment Day, and there's a big question marks around Judgment Day. We know Rhea Ripley's a SmackDown champion. Does the entire Judgment Day go with them? If they do, I think that it makes a lot of sense for Finn Balor to be in that conversation. If this belt is going to SmackDown and Roman's going to Raw, I think Seth Rollins makes a heck of a lot of sense too. He's so over right now, and he really is deserving of a long-time title run. He is the only person who hasn't lost to Roman Reigns recently due to the disqualification. He technically won by Edge. But I think when you look at it, there's so much uncertainty about this man's future coming up. And for WWE to say, listen, we respect the hell out of you and everything you've done. Your title reign was kind of bogus because we were in COVID lockdown and there weren't fans in attendance. You didn't get that pop. You've done everything. You've been more than a good soldier in this company. And I think Drew McIntyre, a lot of buzz about him potentially leaving to AEW when his contract is up. The best way to keep talent is to reward them for their work. And while I think Seth Rollins is the best choice, and I really like Finn Balor as well, I think Drew McIntyre is the play because you need to keep him. You can't lose Drew McIntyre. You can't lose him to AEW especially. So I think Drew McIntyre is the likeliest choice if he does go to that certain, if he goes to the show that's going to get this belt, is the most likely choice to win it. Just to keep him. Otherwise, give me Seth Rollins as well.
And I agree with you on that. It's a great point, JC. Madman, former XPW announcer, and then we'll get out to Drew because Drew has a story. He just told me off here. He's actually been on Monday Night Raw, so maybe he is a wrestling fan. We got to get that giant goop ball on. But first, Mark, who do you think wins that title without saying Karrion Kross and Scarlett?
Well, excuse me while I pull out the Pittsburgh lumber from the 412, JC, but I'm not a big Finn Balor guy at all because he reminds me of Gazoo from the Jetsons. I mean,
he's got the weirdest abs I've ever seen. His abs are so weird.
You can have the abs all you want, but this Judgment Day, somebody needs to push this crew off a cliff, man. They're just dropping the ratings on Raw. How many times do I have to see Damian Priest come out with the other "Where's My Mommy" in Dominic Mysterio and have them keep beating up on the Mysterio Ray there? I mean, it's got to, the LWO coming over there is great and everything, but I will tell you, you got to, if Seth Rollins doesn't get it, you got to give it to somebody who's paid their dues. Maybe it's a Bobby Lashley. I will tell you, as much as I like Bronson Reed there, they're not going to give it to him because they're going to have to give it to somebody that can hold the belt, one, and have great mic skills, number two.
All right, let's go out to Ralph here, and then we'll get out to the giant goofball himself, Mr. Andrew Davis.
Okay,
after Ralph.
I agree with the rest of you guys about Seth Rollins. Also, Drew McIntyre. I agree with JC. They have to keep him. But look at this scenario of a rumor that I heard. LA Knight's going to win Money in the Bank. So if LA Knight wins Money in the Bank, that could happen.
I mean, that guy is so over at this.
I love LA Knight.
You love him on the mic. He's got great ring skills. Yeah. He's been around. It's not like he, is as green as grass when it comes to wrestling ability. Let's go out.
Talk about their dummy.
Go ahead.
I don't think it needs to be a long reign either for him too. Like he can win it and lose it in a couple months, But I think he's over right now as face, and I mean, Mark said, you need a guy with mic skills, and right now there's, other than Seth, I love Orange Cassidy. There's not many people that are great. I'm catching up on AEW.
Well, I tell you right now, so you watch AEW and update me on that, but I love his impression of Bray Wyatt. Did you ever see him cut a Bray Wyatt and his impression? That was absolutely
great.
It was genius. You got to Google it.
The danger kicks are my favorite, and the hands in the pocket. It's just
I got some bad news.
Like I said, bad news. Barrett, who definitely missed his calling after the injury. Who knows if
Speaking of AEW, Roderick Strong is over there now, and
really?
And Sammy beat Darby to face MJF.
We knew that was coming.
Hey, when are they going to pull? When are they going to pull a other guy too? Kevin Patrick or something. Oh my God!
Oh, they got to get rid of him. Man. They got
you guys love that.
Hey, he might get drafted to NXT and they bring Joseph up.
Well,
he can make something bad sound so darn
Big
good.
Joseph. They got to do something.
All right, let's go out to the giant goofball here, who told me a story off air. Welcome to the Sports Web. What was that story, giant goofball?
Hey, yeah, I was actually, as much as I'm not a wrestling fan whatsoever, I was actually on an episode of Monday Night Raw. A friend of mine was like, "Hey, let's go to New York. I want to go to a signing." I'm like, "Who's signing?" He goes, "This person. She's a wrestler. You probably don't know her." Because he knows I wasn't watching wrestling at the time. Turns out it's Ashley Mazzaro back in 2007.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
First off, I gotta say, one of the nicest celebrities in a lineup to people. Like every single person she took the time to talk to, She took pictures, did whatever they wanted to sign, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, at the time, I had a ton of piercings. Like literally every facial piercing known to man I had.
Oh, she loved you.
Oh yeah,
she was into that rocker thing, and she was actually in a music video. And I'm trying to think of.
She was in a few videos. Plus, she was a DJ after she retired from wrestling too.
She kind of thought he looked like Jeremy Shockey.
Well, I tell you right now, sadly, she passed away, and it was drugs overdose,
suicide. She was definitely. I don't know too much on her, but I know she was definitely, because she had looked like she had some rough life. I'll put it that way. But. Yeah, so I'm there getting my copy of the Playboy sign that she was in, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, would you care to talk to us in front of the camera for a minute?" And I'm like, "Okay, what's this for though?" like, oh, we're interviewing people, and it's going to be on SmackDown. Now, my friend that's with me is a huge wrestling fan. He is so ticked off, it's not even funny. He's like, they're going to ask this schmuck about this. He doesn't know anybody who's going to be on this. He doesn't know who's going to be on anything at all. He's going to probably say it's Ultimate Warrior versus Andre the Giant over here. Like, he knows nothing. So, yeah, sure enough, they put me on. And it's funny, they put me on Monday Night Raw instead of SmackDown. And I had no clue what was going on. I had to watch it on YouTube. Luckily, YouTube was still out back then, so I can watch the replay afterwards. But, yeah. There I was. If you can ever find that video, I actually looked for it a couple of years ago and couldn't find it, but they took it down since. But yeah, it's just brief, like 15, 20 seconds of me. But yeah, it ticked my friend off to no end. It was fun.
What did you say? What did you exactly say in that 15 to 20 seconds?
I believe I said that Playboy was a slice of Americana, and that listen, that's as American as it gets there.
It is.
And on top of that, I think I called her smoking hot as well, which, I mean...
Well, she was. Yeah. She was absolutely smoking hot. And, of course...
Very tiny, by the way.
Yeah, Diva Contest. And she was the one who gave her number out there for fans to actually text her, and it blew up. And she... wrestling-wise, I think she could have did a little bit more. But it's sad because she passed away at a young age. But
39.
Jeez, man.
All right. Look at the spread he has over there. I'm just wondering if he like.
Well, I'm telling you, I mean, this setup that he has, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he really built this up because it used to be buzzing and, and he went out of his way.
Yes.
He look at this. I mean,
plus, I got the Manscaped back here too now.
I see that.
Well, the Manscaped.
You've got JC on here, who is a Patriot fan, and it says we save balls. So there you go, man.
No, it says your balls will thank you.
Oh, your balls. Well, I see the picture there. It says we say balls.
That says we say balls. Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
I said,
listen, we just finished shooting. I gotta have this. I had to have the sponsor front and center. So
he's been hanging around the Miz too long.
Oh
yeah.
All right, guys.
You got that right, Mark.
Drew, you wanna hang out in the lobby here and let me finish up Turnbuckle Talk, and we'll talk some Giants football. All right,
let's go.
All right, there you go, Goofball, right there. We'll go back to him in just a little bit. JC, I know you got to get out of here in a little bit, but you want to hang out. You're more.
I love JC too, man.
I love JC too.
Throwing it down.
He's always throwing it down here, and that's the reason why he's a part of Pewter Report. Definitely go like and follow him at JC Allen NFL. Now, speaking of trouble, Vince McMahon, once again, is being sued by a black female player for objecting to offensively racist and stereotypical jargon used in the scripts of black wrestlers, including Bianca Belair, Apollo Crews, according to a new lawsuit. All I have to say is, are we really surprised by that? The writer's name is Brittany Abrahams. Multiple complaints were ignored, and she was pretextually terminated for taking home a WrestleMania branded chair, according to the complaint filed in the U.S. District Court of Eastern District of New York on Monday. She also says she began writing for WWE SmackDown, WWE Monday Night Raw in 2020. And according to the complaint, she complained of racial gender stereotypes and scripts, including ones instructing Belair to say, and don't make me take off my earrings and beat your ass, and Cruz to speak with a stereotypical and exaggerated Nigerian accent, but was rebuffed, she said. What do we make of this? Are we really surprised by it? Because I remember Vince, and he's there with John Cena and he goes, "What's up, N-word?" And it's just it's so cringe. And then Booker T with his wife at the time, Queen Charmel, goes, "Tell me he didn't just say that." And I feel like there's always something there with Vince McMahon in the WWE. Like, I always go back to this. I love Triple H. I think he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But at that point, you have Booker T against him, and he cuts, a promo that is a little bit questionable. And I felt like the decision-making at the time, they should have put Booker T over on Triple H instead. Triple H won the match at WrestleMania. So what do we think of this, JC, first, this complaint? I mean, there could be something to it, right?
But this isn't the only one. There's another lawsuit that's out there today as well. Shareholder rights law firm Julian Holman LLP, they're investigating the WWE and the Endeavor Group merger. They're saying that the WWE sale was done illegally. So, boom, Vince McMahon slapped with 2 lawsuits within a day and a half. So, do I believe it? 1,000%. Vince used the N-word on TV before. You just look at, especially in the Attitude Era and coming into the Ruthless Aggression Era, some of the stuff he's done, some of the storylines, some of the skits that he's had on. To think that some of these things were proposed is definitely believable. Now, does this lawsuit have any ground to stand on? I don't think so. It's just another thing that's going to tarnish, Vince's name out there. To me, the second lawsuit of the WWE sale to Endeavor being done illegally holds way more ground. Let's face it, Endeavor Group knew what they're getting into with Vince McMahon. Dude was coming off a lawsuit. They know what. I don't think this scares them to be like, oh, well, I don't know if we want to make this deal, or I don't know if we want to keep you in a position in charge or anything like that. The word behind the scenes is Vince is still running some things, but mostly Triple H is taking over. There was, and a lot of the things that Vince has done so far since he's been quote unquote back has really just been done to diminish the women's division. There was reportedly an interaction with Piper Niven and Trish. And a few other superstars that were supposed to happen on Monday Night Raw that got cut. Match as well, Candice LeRae. There's been some things there that have been happening behind the scenes that Vince has made, but for the most part, we're seeing Triple H take over in creative, and we're seeing that throughout the last couple, months, really. So it's going to be interesting to see if anything comes from this first lawsuit. The second lawsuit, I think, is really what needs to be the focus on watching.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Does that be out either way? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. And there was talk of this week, a lot of rewrites because of Vince once again, putting his hand in creative. And a lot of fans don't want that because he's behind the times and doing these cringy type of stuff that you maybe can get away with in the 90s and possibly the early 2000s. You can't do that now. Right. Mark, I mean, what do we think of this whole this lawsuit here? Trouble?
Well, first of all, when you make derogatory comments like that, you got to be held accountable. Whether they're looking the other way on this thing than when they, signed off on the WWE deal, that's pretty sad because to me, you got to hold a person accountable. I'm not a big fan of Vince. Sometimes he reminds me of acting like Val Venus in The Godfather there. I mean, if you like women so much, there's been some sexual misconduct with the WWE too, across the board on some of these lawsuits too. And, and Vince has been at the center of this thing as well. So I think, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think with Vince, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to cut your ties, whether he brings in ratings or not. Is it really worth that? We talked about talent over character. I don't care how much talent somebody has. Eventually character will overcome the talent because you get talent just over character. You're going to get me, myself, and I. And that's what we're looking at Vince McMahon, guys.
Yeah, that's absolutely what we're looking at with Vince McMahon. And he was able to escape those allegations where he's paying off women $21.4 million. So, I mean,
he's still doing that. He's still doing the sexual misconduct. Do you think Rhea Ripley wanted to change her outfit, her ring gear into, tiny ass shorts and a strap when she was wearing pants for the last some odd years?
Exactly.
1,000% that was something that came down. Oh, we're changing your ring gear. This is what you're wearing now. 1,000%.
That's Vince. Ralph, what do we think of this?
Well, JC and Mark make some good points here, but I want to say everyone forgets about the the lawsuit with Sable. Sable filed a lawsuit against him many years ago for some sexual misconduct. But here's what I have to say, and I've said this many times: stockholders call the shots. Now, when WWE was a public company, you had the stockholders when he came back did not want him involved in creative. And by him selling the company now, he now has, I guess, a little bit of power. But when he first came back, the stockholders didn't want him involved at all in nothing. They wanted him to stay in the office in Stamford, Connecticut, or wherever it is now. I hear they have a new building. I don't know where if it's still in Stamford, but they told him to stay in the office. And now that he sold the company and it's with UFC, God knows what they're letting him whatever he's going to be able to do. And that's the main reason he sold the company, because he got tired of it being under public, under stockholders that he had to answer to all the time. And that's exactly what happened. And he ought to be ashamed of himself, because some of the stuff he tries to pull, it's just amazing. And he needs to go away is what he really needs to do. And Stephanie McMahon was once in charge of the women's division. I wish Triple H would put her back in charge. They had an all-women's pay-per-view. No one has ever done that. Years ago, it was a strong when she was running it.
Yep.
Now it's almost nothing.
All right, now here's something interesting. WWE was in Chicago the other night. Guess who else was there? Mr. Chicago man himself.
Yeah.
CM Punk. Behind the scenes talking to Triple H.
Wait, is that what CM stands for?
Well, yeah, I believe it does. It's Chicago man, Phil Brooks, of course.
Chicago man.
Yeah, that's what.
Exactly. I didn't know that. Learn something new.
See, there you go. I'm teaching everybody here on Turnbuckle Talk. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the man.
It could be Creep Moron. It could be that too.
Shut up and be quiet.
Shut up.
The madman himself, Mark Mancini, the bodyguard of the Burke, Mr. Ralph Williams, and of course, JC Allen on with us as a special guest on Turnbuckle Talk from Pewter Report. He visited Triple H. He talked to Triple H, but then was asked to leave. A lot of people assumed he was just there to, maybe
squash the beef with Miz.
Right. Some people also thought he was there to maybe get in the good graces, although the report is that he's headed back to AEW with Tony Khan, which I told you on this show he was going to. And then, of course, he was asked to leave by who? You guessed it, Vince McMahon.
McMahon.
JC, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't have the competitor backstage, and I guess it was reported that he was only in he wasn't in Gorilla, he was in a common area, probably the garage area, just kind of hanging out. He's from Chicago, lives in Chicago. The reports were that he was in Florida talking to in Orlando, and he was on a plane ride back. And he found out, he didn't realize, and found out that, hey, they're in Chicago. Well, hey, let me swing by, squash his beef with Miz, talk to a few other wrestlers. And then, I guess he was reportedly asked Triple H was okay. He was there. He's like, I got to run it by the big man. And Vince McMahon said, you got to leave. There was no altercations or anything. He left quietly, came in quietly. Some superstars were like, what the heck is he doing here? But at the end of the day, he is on AEW. He's I'm not sure what the contract looks like, but he's the competitor, and you can't have the competitor in your area there,
I agree. And it looks like he's going to come back for Collision in Chicago on June 17th. Of course, we'll get to the other story about him. And some people say, you know what? He could have done it for a publicity stunt. I mean, is that certainly possible, Madman, that he did it for that?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's good for business. And if you want to have business running really high and get them stocks, maybe you put that nice World Heavyweight Championship belt around his waist.
Wow.
Let me ask you guys something. How much, and I love Reigns dearly too, but how much would a pay-per-view or something go through the roof if you had a CM Punk going against a Roman Reigns? That's what I'm talking about. Good for business.
Huge. It's a dream match. It honestly is a dream match at the end of the day, and I feel like a lot of people would watch it because there is genuine heat between CM Punk and Triple H. Even though they talked the other day, there's heat between them, and there's also heat between some of those wrestlers there, namely a Seth Rollins. So to answer your question, I think the match that would sell is not Roman Reigns, because I think eventually Reigns is going to go off to Hollywood and drop the belt to Cody. I think the match to build on, if Seth truly is going to get that new title, is Seth versus CM Punk. Because Seth, just a year ago, was talking all kinds of nonsense about CM Punk. And a lot of people thought, that was kayfabe, but maybe that was real. Any way it goes, Ralph, it's best for business.
Yes, it is. And let me tell you something here. I have an angle out of this, okay? I know why CM Punk was there, because I think CM Punk deep down inside doesn't like the current situation that he has to get himself into at AEW. He has to stay away from the Elite, Chris Jericho. They purposely started a fourth show, they canceled this one show today. But the AEW has put together this collision to keep him away from people. And now I think CM Punk doesn't want that kind of deal. If I know CM Punk, he wants to do what he wants to do pretty much.
Yep.
And I think by talking to Triple H, I think he's putting this option in his back pocket, because I think if this thing with Collision doesn't work out, and he can't wrestle to the Elite, or he can't talk to them, he can't talk to Chris Jericho. Tony Khan had a big meeting this week with Jericho. He had a meeting with the Elite, and he had a meeting with CM Punk, and he's trying to curb the drama in the back. There's a lot of animosity, a lot of fighting going on in the back room, drama out of the yin-yang. So what I'm saying is Tony Khan is having trouble controlling that. CM Punk, I don't think he wants to deal with that. I think he wants to go to WWE and do what he needs to do. And I think WWE can make him better if he goes back.
Yep.
All right. Well, and to piggyback on that, there's certainly a possibility of that happening, but also Ralph and Mark and JC, we talked about this last week. The reason why you're doing a brand split in AEW is because of CM Punk and, not having that drama with the Elite and, of course, Kenny Omega. Now, the other story came out is that CM Punk and Chris Jericho actually met face-to-face. Of course, Jericho called Punk a cancer in the locker room in the past. Well, now they're saying that Jericho is willing to work with Punk. For weeks, reports have mentioned a planned meeting between the two men with FTRs and neutral partisan mediators, a part of the process by which Punk will be brought back into the fold. Those familiar with the situation said that the meeting was relatively uneventful, of all things considered, especially when taking into consideration the issues the two had. Also, they say, and again, this goes back to Jericho's comments, saying Punk is a locker room cancer. He said he's Punk posting online briefly that Jericho is a liar and a stooge. And the bar apparently wasn't too high as one of, and this is reported by Sean Ross Sapp. It's a positive that Jericho and Punk didn't fight. They jokingly added, well, yet generally the consensus seems to be the two can work together without issue. Hopefully they can, because again, it's what's best for business. People will watch it because they're going to go back to what Jericho said. They're going to go back to what Punk said. And you know what, JC? This is the way you build up long-term storytelling at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I definitely think there's real animosity between a lot of the.
Sure.
Let's take today's technology and let's drop it back in 1996, 7, 98, 99, before the Vince McMahon bought WCW. A lot of the crap that comes out from AEW reminds me so much of WCW.
Big time.
They've got these guys who are in powerful positions who kind of run the show. They've got superstars who literally own the business, kind of running the show. They've got high personalities such as CM Punk, Chris Jericho, etc., kind of running the show back there. Tony Khan doesn't know what the hell he's doing half the time. Now, don't get me wrong, AEW is a quality show. I like AEW. I mean, the match between Luchasaurus and Orange Cassidy to open went for like 20-something minutes, and it was a banger. And they have great matches. They have great talent, great storytelling sometimes. But at the same time, I think when you have too many superstars' hands in a cookie jar that control the narrative of the show, the writing, creative, This is the type of crap that happens. And if I think that if Twitter was around and social media was around back in WCW days, we'd hear the same things out of guys like Sting and Lex and Brett and etc. I mean, Brett did it anyways. Brett just like a whiner. But I think by making CM Punk his own show to keep him away from certain superstars, and it's just there's too much going on behind the scenes and backstage in AEW where it doesn't feel like this could potentially implode in a situation. Even though they're saying the right things, they're having these behind the scenes meetings. I don't by any means think that AEW is going away anytime soon. It's going to blow up, but I definitely think that Tony needs to get a handle on his superstars and say, hey, but at the end of the day, this is my company, my business. And if I want you on this show to wrestle this guy, that's what's going to have to happen. He's giving these superstars too much control over creative. And I think that's where you see problems arise with AEW.
Agree. Mark.
Well, no, I think JC hit it right on the thing, because the beginning of the end, if you remember WCW, which he just brought to light here, Eric Bischoff hasn't done anything since he left that. He was working for, Vince McMahon. And then when you look at Paul Heyman, the battles we had, XPW going against ECW, Paul Heyman's done quite well with WWE. Now he's been elevated in the bloodline, but I don't care how much money you got. AEW's never going to overtake the WWE. And JC hit it right there. You can't have these guys run. You can't have the inmates running the asylum. If you're paying them handsomely, they got to be in a place where, everybody knows their role and respect that role. Once you start having guys run creative and everything, we saw the downfall of WCW. He hit it. JC hit it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Ralph, your thoughts?
Yeah, likewise with Mark. I agree with JC on this too. Let's take a look at this here. AEW has a show where they go behind the scenes of what goes on in AEW. I just saw Tony Khan sitting with a headset on, has no idea, like JC said, how to run a wrestling company. No idea. All he is a billionaire that's a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He knows nothing about business. All right. Like Vince McMahon does. Now I'll give Vince McMahon that credit. The man's been around a long time. He has wrestling in his blood. Okay. Tony Khan doesn't. Okay. And by eliminating, he chased out Cody Rhodes by eliminating the EVPs from doing their job. Okay. And then has no idea what he's doing. It's one thing to eliminate your EVPs and tell them that they can't do anything, but it's another if you're going to take control of it. If Vince McMahon had EVPs like this, he would tell them, look, you're done. I'm taking things over. Okay. Right. Tony Khan hasn't done that. He's just let the whole ship get ready to sink because he doesn't know how to run a wrestling company. And he spends too much money of his family's money. And sooner or later, the family's going to haul him to the carpet. He lost $50 million 2 years ago. And I'm going to find out how much he lost last year.
Well,
yeah, part of the problem.
Go ahead, JC. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, part of the problem too is you're right. He has so much money that he just keeps signing superstars, and it's almost like that kid that just like collects a lot of stuff but has no idea what it's worth or what to do with it. Right? Like he just collects things, collects names to get buzz, but doesn't know what to do with them once he gets them. He's like, he doesn't know how to run creative well. I mean, and again, there are some really good storylines too that develop on AEW, and I've only been watching for a couple months, so I'm not truly invested, and I don't know the history as much as you guys surely do. But just watching as a casual fan, the wrestling's fun. Like there's no doubt about it, but there's nothing that kind of really. The promos are fun, but I don't think there's anything that builds you up where you're like, this is nothing. Obviously, nothing comparative to the Bloodline, which has been one of the best stories in years. But even before that, there's nothing there that really. WCW had good storylines. They had a lack of direction, and again, inmates running the asylum. But there was at least some good storylines, that ran through it. Same thing with WWE. So it's just one of these things where he needs help, and he needs someone that's done it before, because you've got all these superstars. You're opening up a third show, fourth show. You have AEW After Dark. You've got this program behind the scenes, but what are you actually doing with the talent that you've collected? And he still wants to collect even more.
Well, and that's the thing. And you got Keith Lee, and you really don't do anything with him. There's countless wrestlers that you got from WWE, and you haven't done anything with them.
Why he bought ROH? He was supposed to put everybody, split everybody up and move people around ROH, and he hasn't done that either, JC. And I understand.
Well, at the end of the day,
the belt thing, the whole belt thing, it's overkill. Like, I think AEW has a perfect amount of belts, but I think when you start throwing these ROH belts into it and giving guys on on AEW the ROH belts, that's just, first of all, it's taking away from ROH.
Yeah.
And second of all, it just becomes too hard to track. So he's the ROH champion, or is he? What's this? What's that? It's been difficult to follow along.
It really has been difficult to follow along, and you're exactly right. And Adam Cole, I feel like finally he's getting a storyline, because he didn't have any storyline. He was a big free agent signing at the end of the day. You know what? Of course, we always talk about the NWO. What could have been if Sting were the main member and not Hogan, where there was actually another member that could have been a part of it. Kevin Nash tells the Click podcast that Booker T was one of the guys that they targeted. I wanted Booker. I wanted a black athlete. I wanted a black man, and Book was a real dude. He always has been. I remember I asked him, I said, Book, would you join the NWO? And he looked at me and said, big fella, man, Kev, I don't want to work that effing hard. You guys work every effing house show.
Hey, Stevie Ray joined.
Well, that's it. But Booker T and the NWO, JC, what could have been? Do you think he would have got over more then? Because remember, he didn't get over until the WCW was basically over with. Finally, Vince Russo, one of the decisions he did with putting him over finally, because Booker T was with WCW for so many years and they passed up on him. That's the reason why they lost Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit. And I'm trying to think of the other wrestler. It's been a long night. Perry Saturn. That's why you saw those
Rey Mysterio.
Talented, especially Guerrero. Yeah, Rey Mysterio. JC, Booker T.
Guerrero.
Yeah, Booker T and the NWO, JC. What would you have thought of that?
Yeah, I think it depends on the direction they took the NWO after that, because I think NWO just turned into a joke. I mean, they had 30 guys coming out with them, and superstars, movie stars, athletes, etc. And then they broke off into the two factions, and then the LWO came, and so it depends on where they took the storyline. I think NWO got way too watered down. If they would have kept it 3, maybe 5 members max, then I think we're talking about something. But to have the NWO was genius.
Hold on, Curtis.
It was brilliant, and I really think that having Hogan in it made it so brilliant, because Hogan was never a heel, and to make him do that heel turn was part of the brilliance of that was NWO. And I don't know if that would have resonated as hard if it was Booker T over Hogan, but it also depends. You have the Outsiders split off and make NWO black and red, and then eventually they come back to black and white. And what's the storyline going to be there? Because
it was watered down, and they ruined it, and then they all got back together again, and then the finger poke of doom, which is probably the worst moment in wrestling history. It ruined.
Second most worst moment. First is always going to be Owen Hart. Owen Hart is always going to be the first.
Well, yes. Well, hold on a minute here. We got Curtis calling the Turnbuckle Talk here line. Curtis, welcome to the Evolution. With yours truly, along with Mark Mancini, the Madman himself, of course, Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg, and J.C. Allen, our special guest tonight from Pewter Report. What do you have to say, my friend? Welcome back.
First of all, I have been working my ass off, and I appreciate you guys. I'll be tuning in. I just don't have time to call, but I still appreciate and love all you guys, man.
Love you too, man.
Hey. But listen, I was listening. I just got home from work, and I tuned in when y'all were talking about Booker T.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the newfound respect I have for that gentleman.
Okay.
And I watched his A&E special.
Did they not do the best job when it comes to biographies? I mean, A&E and WWE is just a perfect marriage. It really is.
Listen, I watched a lot of them. That the one with Macho Man. And then the one with Booker T, I'm like, man, these guys were has a hell of a story to tell.
Yep.
And that dude came from absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And he would have been a great member if he would. I was listening to y'all talk about him in the NWO. He would have been a great leader of like the red and black.
Bro, you had Vincent in the NWO. I mean, he was coming out and doing I don't know what. He wasn't doing anything. You had Vince. You could have Booker T, and Booker T didn't want it. He didn't want to work that hard.
Yeah. And even like and going back to that AEW, I've watched a couple of it, and then I sit there and I watch it, and I'm like, man, I know these wrestlers, and you love a lot of these guys, but I'm like, what is it leading up to? Like, what am I going? What's next?
Right.
And with Tony Khan, isn't he the guy that owns the Jaguars too?
His father does, Shad Khan, who is portraying a James Bond villain also with that mustache.
Can I add a little gasoline on this fire or barbecue?
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Madman.
Everybody loves the NWO, and I know we all trip over these things. It's kind of like getting our coffee from the Starbucks, but the local Joe still has some good coffee too. Anybody that wants to bring up these factions and wants to compare them, I'll tell you right now, I'll lay the Shield down with the NWO, because you show me a faction that took over WWE like the Shield did for a long time. I'll match them up with the NWO. We can throw the gauntlet down here tonight.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll go back to you, Curtis. I thought the greatest start to a faction, and you gentlemen will remember this along with Curtis, the Nexus. Do we remember the Nexus?
Yeah.
What they did to the ring, and then Bryan Danielson at the time, of course, Daniel Bryan gets fired because he decides to take a tie and choke Justin Roberts. I'm like, that was great storytelling. Like, that was amazing. Like, I believe that they tore the ring apart. They tore everything apart. That was amazing. We've never
if
seen
you ain't with us, you're against us.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. And then they ruined it, of course, putting Cena and, of course, Daniel Bryan against them. It's just stupid, which they always do.
But how can you not match the Shield up with the NWO, JC, Ralph, and everybody?
Curtis, factions. The Shield versus.
I love it. I love you guys. I love the Shield. I love the Nexus. The Nexus was a great storyteller.
Right.
It really was, before the whole John Cena thing.
Right.
Him versus Wade Barrett. I loved it. You had to tune in to watch it.
Correct. But they dropped the ball.
I can't comment because I wasn't around for the Shield and Nexus days. But what I can kind of put NWO up against, and I still think NWO takes over is over this one, but the Corporation to me is I think draws direct parallels. You have a faction that's with head of creative and the ownership, whatever. So I think those two draw parallels. Obviously didn't have the names as NWO, but had the same type of pull and the backing behind them that NWO had with Bischoff.
JC, guys, it always goes back to DX versus NWO, and they got a chance to do it at WrestleMania. 20 years too late. Go ahead, Curtis.
I'm gonna give you one.
Okay.
I was when I used to watch, because I was one of those guys that used to flip back and forth between WCW, WWE.
Okay.
I used to wait for Raven and the Flock.
Oh my God.
Yes. Raven and the Flock.
At ringside.
What about me? What about Raven?
But you bring up, Peter, you just brought up something. They dropped the ball on that whole thing.
Yes.
You know where they also dropped the ball?
Where's that?
When they were teasing with Bray Wyatt bringing Undertaker and Kane, that whole thing would have been just simply amazing.
Okay, well, what you're talking about is having Undertaker go over on Bray Wyatt when Bray Wyatt should have went over on the Undertaker, and that torch should have been passed. And then you had the intrigue a couple months ago where Undertaker says something to Bray and Bray says something back. And then Bray goes out with either an injury or because he's not over his friend's death and Hubert.
CM Punk had a faction too. I couldn't remember the faction he had. He had some,
right.
Yeah.
You can't forget about.
I always wanted.
You can't forget about.
I was gonna say I always wanted Kane and Mankind to join the ministry back in the day. That I thought that would have been awesome with the Brood and Minivera and
Right. Well, you had
Kane and Mankind all
What about
together.
the corporate ministry where you had Vince and Shane and the corporation, and then you had Vince come out?
It started with DX versus the Nation of Domination.
Correct.
Nation of
Right.
Domination. Yeah, wow.
Nation of Domination was great.
Nation of Domination included who, guys?
Owen Hart.
The Rock.
The Rock, Ron Simmons.
And Ron Simmons, too. Yep.
Mark Brown. Yep. D'Lo Brown.
D'Lo Brown's head shake.
Head shake all the time. And then you also
And Mark Henry was in there too. Godfather.
Oh
yeah. Was there?
That's why you have to bring back, if you're gonna get CM Punk involved in the WWE, I think you got to bring in Dean Ambrose too. Oh, I'd love to see Dean Ambrose.
You guys,
Hey, he might be coming back to the WWE because there's some issues with creative with him in AEW.
There's always creative issues. Go ahead, Curtis.
Do you guys remember the promo when DX came out as the Nation? That had to be.
That was great.
My God, and they could never do it. They could not do that these days. They would. No.
They made fun of Owen Hart's nose so much it was hilarious.
Oh, dude, the aardvark. I look like. Why do I look like an aardvark? Remember that?
Yeah.
And then you have X-Pac doing the
That
Mark
was so
Henry.
great.
Oh.
Then they would come out with the tank. They'd come out.
I am not a nugget.
Oh my God.
I am not a nugget.
I am not a nugget.
How about the stomp when they dressed up like Vince McMahon and Triple H come out stomping out like Vince McMahon?
Oh yeah. Yes, DX with the later version of DX with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Yes, go ahead, Curtis. Finish up here.
Oh,
I love the Road Dogg doing the head shake of D'Lo Brown.
Road Dogg, D'Lo Brown.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man! Just tears are streaming down my.
Well,
face.
remember when Xbox says, "I could smell what you're cooking." It's something along those lines. I mean, that's classic stuff. Those are classic storylines and classic on the mic. They'll never have that stuff again, ever. Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
You come out the bathroom, you'll smell what the crock was just cooking.
Crack was cooking. Yes, exactly. Great stuff, Curtis.
I'd say Jeff Jarrett, for his age, still looks pretty good out there.
Oh, he does.
Oh my God,
He does.
Doesn't he? He does, man.
Does
He
Jeff
does.
Jeff Jarrett was in the Hall of Fame, but is Jeff Jarrett a guy that has been pushed down our throat way too much because he was in Impact, he was the top guy.
No, I mean, you got to.
He created Impact.
He did.
Listen, if
Well,
you said about Jeff Jarrett, you might disagree with me, but I got tired of Chris Jarrett.
well,
I think
will
the
tell
same
you,
thing.
I think Jeff Jarrett to me, because there was only one honky tonk man, and I think everybody else that came after that, including our guy from Pittsburgh, Elias, just hasn't made the cut, and that's where I think Jeff Jarrett fell off my radar. He copied the honky tonk man too much, I think.
Well, to me, he's trying to copy also Ric Flair there with being in the
Ric Flair was another one. Yeah,
for a while. All right, Curtis, go ahead.
I want to ask all of y'all a question.
Sure.
What are y'all?
Tony Khan always looks like he's on coke. Sorry, go ahead, Curtis.
What do you seriously think about this Austin Theory kid?
I like him. I like him a lot. And I think, look, at this point, if you put him over John Cena, which, by the way, I feel like they're saying John Cena is the greatest of all time for a reason, which, by the way, is a smack in the mouth to Hogan, to Flair, to even Sting. Some of the greatest wrestlers of all time to say I think it's kind of like the LeBron James, Michael Jordan argument, right? They're trying to put that up there.
Well, you have to remember, though, Cena carried that company for years.
Well, that's true. When Brock left and Batista left,
Well,
yes.
You got to remember, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, they were on again, off again.
Well, Triple H was there now, and he definitely deserved. And I can't believe he would sign off on being the greatest of all time with talking. But Hogan, Flair, come on, man, they revolutionized business.
Here's the problem with the whole Triple H thing, and I love Triple H as a wrestler, as a performer, but you always knew he could pretty much do whatever he want because he was in the fucking family. Excuse my French. He was in the family.
Right.
He was in the family.
He was, and he got in a family, and the whole storyline with him and Stephanie was weird in itself. That couldn't pass these days. And then eventually, because they were around each other, there really was real romance. And then, of course, the rest is history.
I do have one more thing to say.
Yes.
Tesla's the guy who I think could have got a proper push.
Well, yeah, he could have, but he didn't get it.
I'm gonna continue listening to you guys, and I might even call back. I always love Chris Jericho versus Stephanie McMahon.
That's good stuff. That is good stuff.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, but and I love Jericho too. But you know what? What about Rick Rude? I'd probably take Rick Rude over Jericho. I loved Rick Rude.
See, and I think Jericho is going to go down, guys. And I've said this before, Curtis. We have not appreciated this man enough as a wrestler. And I think now, as we get older and we start to see some of the accomplishments and some of the things that he did on the mic, it's amazing. And I get it. You had The Rock, you have Stone Cold and Triple H, but Jericho is right up there. And consider all those years where he was in WCW and he was not getting over because of a Hogan and a Nash and a Hall with all the guaranteed contracts and all the politics that were there. Consider all those years he could have been in WWE. I mean, we may be having a different conversation at the end of the day about Chris.
think Jericho's top 20 all time.
I think
as a
Jericho
wrestler on the mic.
I think he's top 10, top 5, honestly.
No, I don't got him that high.
I don't know if he's in my top 5, but I will tell you a guy that
top 10.
I will tell you in my top 20 would be AJ Styles. I like AJ Styles.
There's another wrestler right there that we're talking about, right? Jericho stayed so long in WCW. AJ was all about TNA and Impact. What could have if he went to WWE? Great stuff. Curtis, thanks a lot for the call as always. I mean, I know you wanted to say something about it. Jericho, where is he ranked for you? Is it top 10, top 15? Where is it at for you?
You gotta say as an all-around performer, I kind of agree with you, Pete. He, as far as in the ring and rocking the mic and everything, and his longevity, he could possibly be top 10.
I think he's top 10. I think a lot of people just we have underappreciated that man. And
he's got world titles. He's got intercontinental titles.
He's got gimmick. He's reinvented himself. It's not the same gimmick. I mean, Hogan for so many years was Hulk Hogan. What you're gonna do? And then he was Hollywood Hogan. Chris Jericho reinvents himself every time. Like, some of the characters are amazing in itself.
Here's my question though.
Sure.
If you put Jericho in the top 10, do you put him over Edge?
Wow, I don't know about. I mean, Edge.
I would put him over Edge.
There you go.
I would too, because he's still wrestling and he stayed. Edge had to leave because of an injury, and then he had to come back.
But you know why he came back? He missed it he retired in his prime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. I know.
And he had to retire though. It's not like he
had to
retired
retire because of his neck, and then on top of it, I think Edge gets consideration because he was in one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and Edge and Christian, and wrestled some of the greatest matches at WrestleMania. Who could forget tables, ladders, and chairs?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was the biggest Jeff Hardy fan, and I still love Jeff Hardy.
Sure.
But he's got problems.
Ruined talent. What could have been?
For me, as far as jaw-dropping acts, Jeff Hardy was the guy.
Watch Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker, and I believe it's on Monday Night Raw, and he's proving himself, and Undertaker picks him up, pats him on the head, goes, hey, kid.
I don't even got Hardy in my top 20.
That's sad because he's got the ability at the end of the day. His inner demons killed him. All right, killed his career, not killed him. Thank God for that. Curtis, thanks a lot for the call. As always, man, we'll give you the Macho Man.
Oh, yeah.
I got one more question for you.
Yes.
What are we doing for the draft tomorrow?
We'll see, man. We're still trying to work on that. We did our fan draft tonight. I wish you could have been a part of it next year.
Tampa Bay's drafted a long snapper.
We shut up and be quiet, right? We'll see what they do, but we had Christopher Cole tonight. He selected Brian Branch from Alabama.
All I'm going to tell you is as long as we don't trade up for one of them quarterbacks.
I don't think that's happening. I think that's a bunch of nonsense.
Well, listen, you know what? All I'm going to tell you is I like a couple of them, but I'm not convinced.
Okay. Well, we'll let you know where we're going to be tomorrow night. We're still working on it. If not, we'll be back here soon. Just keep on tuning into the evolution. All right, my friend?
All right, guys.
All right, man. Appreciate the call as always.
I'll be at Stage AE in Pittsburgh.
And
I got to run too here.
All right, I know you got to run. Yes, go ahead, Mark.
Peter, we're going to be in Tampa in a week or so. The Pirates are going to be in Tampa.
Well, I tell you, right now, you
I
gotta
can't
come.
wait
You
for
gotta
that
come
one.
and see me here, my friend JC. I know you got to get out of here. Thanks a lot for all your time tonight.
Love JC.
And
Love the calls.
go ahead and
Thank
promote
you.
yourself, my friend.
Yeah, guys, follow me on Twitter at JC Allen NFL. They took my check, but they didn't take my takes. Follow all of our content at pewterreport.com. Follow us at Pewter Report on Twitter. Pewter Report TV on YouTube. We're going to have 3 days of draft coverage live from One Buck Place. So definitely tune into that. We will have live reactions. We'll have live reactions to the draft prospects that they take after we get interviews from them, as well as interviews from Jason Light, Coach Bowles, and probably Spytech. He spoke last year, so I'm sure he'll probably speak again this year. So had a blast doing this, had a blast coming on here, definitely talking a little bit of this Turnbuckle Talk, and definitely doing the draft. I know I said I'd only be able to pop in on and off, and here I am 3.5 hours later. So always a pleasure,
I tell you,
man.
it was a pleasure. And I tell you what, your evolution, your growth here on the sports web, with just starting out as a fan calling in to working for Bucs Report to doing draft shows and now a Pewter Report. It's amazing. I'm proud of you, my friend. You've been, and you're definitely more than welcome to come back for Turnbuckle Talk. I'm sure, guys, you want him back for Turnbuckle
I love
Talk?
this
Absolutely.
guy, man. Yeah,
Come
fatal
back. If
four-way,
you want to
man.
come back, we'll do that.
The fatal four-way.
Absolutely.
Love it. All right, JC. Thanks a lot for the time, man. We appreciate you. All right.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
Have
All
a
right,
great
man.
one, JC.
All right, let's
Thank
go
you.
out to Mr. Ralph Williams. Go ahead and promote yourself. And by the way, congratulations on the new job. Yes, sir. All right, go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Well, I had to drop the Forgotten Son because now radio has finally found me again. So I'm back June 20th, Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. every Tuesday. Myself, Smoking Jim Frazier, Sports Corner on Beaver County Radio.
Yeah, baby.
So you can reach me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I have many shows on YouTube, including The Way I See It, Sports Corner, Talking Wrestling, and Ralph Williams one-on-one. And I'm up to 95. I gained 1 subscriber. I still need 5 more to make 100.
All right, get him 5. Ralph, once again, thanks a lot for the time. Congratulations
You're welcome.
on the success, my friend.
Thank
More
you.
to come, and we'll see you next week. All right, my friend?
Thank you.
All right, good stuff there. Let me go out to the madman himself, Mr. Mark Mancini.
Wow, what a show, baby.
I'm telling you, man, I'm about to go 4 hours here with
Dude, man, I'm jacked up, man. The Pirates won today. I do the thing with you guys, man. Going off on Harry. Ralph gets a job in Pittsburgh, man. You're doing good in Tampa. Got JC Allen. I love this, man.
Yeah, and then you got this goofball right here who's telling his raw stories right there. We'll get him on and talk some Giants football in a little
I love him, but my favorite NFC team growing up, brother, was the Redskins, baby. We're coming. Wait
Need a quarterback first.
Yeah, fighting words there.
Get a quarterback. We'll talk then.
All right, Mark, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution.
XM 203, Sirius 217, WWDB AM 860, Marianne Salad, myself. Pittsburgh Pirate Podcast with Tarek Brock, the San Francisco Giants Podcast with Alex Berg, Wednesdays with you. And by the way, Danielle Orsino and I do that Moving the Chains on Wednesday. She can't wait to get a hold of you and hear you. She's a big Giants backer.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to get her on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I will work on that, my friend. Enjoy the draft. Thanks a lot for the time, as
Say
always.
hi to your mom. I love you, man. See you next week.
Man. Mark Mancini right there, Mancini Media. Let's go out to this guy, and then we will wrap it up for the night because I'm quite tired.
And you got to be exhausted, man. Whoosh.
I'm almost to 4 hours here. We're gonna have to probably do
I got a little Porky Pig going on there. He's been on so long.
I'm just gonna go through a couple questions here, and I'm gonna get you out of here. I hate for you to wait, but definitely let's talk some Giants football. Where do you think the Giants are going? Where are they going? Is it 25 or 26? I think
so. Yeah, they're at 25. It's
25.
Technically 26 if you want to count the pick that was forfeited there.
Yeah,
so I've heard it said both ways. I'm calling it 25.
Okay,
but in the end, they want a receiver. There's not really a lot of great receivers. You got Jackson Smith and Ajigba's obviously number 1 overall on most teams' boards for a receiver. He'll be long gone by the time they pick. The number 2 that we picked on our show there, and a lot of the Giants pundits I've heard said the same, is Zay Flowers to us. So if Zay Flowers is still available, he'll be taken. If not, if Jordan Addison's there, he'll be taken. If Quentin Johnston's the only one left of the big four, he will not be taken. I think he's going to keep dropping and dropping and dropping. I think he'll probably be early second round the way things are going, unless some team gets desperate. In our mock draft, we gave him to the Ravens because they just want to get Lamar back. We'll see how that works. Otherwise, if they can't get a good receiver, they'll go corner. I really hope they trade down, though. Honestly, man, this is the draft that if somebody wants to trade down, trade up, and wants to trade with you, do it.
Well, and this could be a very weak wide receiving class, although you got Jordan Addison. We talked about Najigba from Ohio State, Quentin Johnston there. There's some, talk here, conversation of who is the top receiver at the end of the day. I think Zay Flowers, and the comparison is Antonio Brown. And once again, that's a lofty comparison, but you see the size, you see the speed, you see the explosive nature from this player. I think this would be a home run if you can get him. And then also there was talk about Hendon Hooker. Hooker for you guys, would you take a chance on him? Even though you just signed Daniel Jones to a contract, is there any thought in the Giants' mind to maybe take a flyer on this player?
I think the only reason they talked to him was two things. One, hedging their bets in case he drops all of a sudden. If you can get him in like the second, third round, then it's not as big a deal. But I think the main reason they talked to him is they want to actually pick his brain as far as Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt. I think that's the bigger reason why they actually did that. I think it was much more of a get more information on some receivers we're scouting to get possibly in the second round, as opposed to trying to actually scout the guy you're talking to.
Jalen Hyatt's an interesting prospect. I mean, could he be another wide receiver that gets into that first round? I mean, he's got speed. He's very productive from Tennessee. Of course, the number one wide receiver for a hooker. Would you be happy with that pick for the New York Giants?
I would be happy for us just because we already have a lot of slot receiver guys. He's played slot primarily. He's projected to be a guy who has to play the slot position in the NFL. But for another team that doesn't necessarily have somebody at that position, yeah. I mean, he's a one-trick pony when it's all said and done, but it's a hell of a trick. He's just fast. I mean, it's just you can't teach speed. You got it or you don't, and this guy has it.
That's it. And we're on with the giant goofball himself, Mr. Andrew Davis, here on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, going nearly 4 hours here, 3.5 hours strong. We do that here during draft time, and then I'll probably take a break afterwards, go to sleep or something along those lines. What do you make of this Saquon Barkley situation? And could this change where the Giants draft? Could they take a running back here because they're not necessarily sure about Saquon Barkley? Could they trade Barkley? Because it certainly looks like he's not willing to sign this contract tender.
Yeah, he'll sign. I'm not even worried about it, to be very frank with you. It's all showboating in the end. The only way he has of trying to get any leverage to get more money is to not show up to voluntary stuff, is to not sign the franchise deal. He's not going to have to until he absolutely has to. I'm okay with the Giants getting a running back later on, like the third, fourth, fifth round or something like that, to go ahead and be like a backup to him. We need a backup anyway. You should be drafting a running back in that position every couple of years as it is. That's just smart football. But otherwise, I'm not worried about it, really. He was offered a ton of money. He's offered like $13.5 million a year in the trade deadline. Sorry, the bye week there, I should say, during the season, and he turned it down. He should have taken it when he had the chance. Obviously, I don't know guaranteed money and that kind of stuff. There's been talks that was low, and that's why he turned it down. But there's also been talks that he wants to make money that's more similar to what Christian McCaffrey's making. You don't pay running backs. That's not what you do. That's not smart football. And Joe Shane, the GM, is not going to do it. So he had the chance to take the money, should have, didn't. He's going to be tagged this year, and they may tag him even next year and then just let him go at that point. So it's smart football. It may not be nice to him as a player, who's by all accounts a very good teammate, a very good guy off the field, but it's smart from a business standpoint to do it.
From a business standpoint, how do you feel about Bijan Robinson? I mean, generational talent. We've talked about him. He could go top 10. A lot of talk about the Atlanta Falcons. A lot of talk about the Eagles, possibly the Bucs at 19. I mean, how do you feel? Because Saquon Barkley was the second overall pick, and the comparison is there for Robinson and Barkley. But how do you feel overall about teams drafting a running back in the first round? You okay with it? Or do you go back to what we talked about last year with Isaiah Pacheco being a 7th-round pick and still being productive? A Kareem Hunt, who was a 3rd-round pick, and Alvin Kamara, who was a 3rd-round pick. you can get those running backs in the later rounds, right? But not just talents.
It also depends on who you have, though, available. Like in our mock draft, we went ahead and got Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama down to the in a trade with the Giants, and the Chiefs moved up to pick him. It makes sense for a team like that because you're stacked. You're in a position to win. You think this is the final piece to kind of keep you at that upper echelon of teams. But a team like the Falcons, sheesh, if they draft Bijan Robinson,
Tyler Allgeier killed it last.
Exactly. It's not a need. It's not a need. I don't know where this. Honestly, I wonder if this talk is coming from a place that they're trying to get the buzz going, just to beef up a trade.
Well, that's what you would think, because there's talk of Philadelphia trying. You know, that's not the talk you want, but trying to get up there and get Jalen Carter.
I'm not worried about it.
Davis and that team has been lots of movement this year, and you're not worried about it. But Jalen Hurts getting signed. What are your thoughts on that deal? Because you knew that was going to happen, and it's a good story. He's a second-round player. A lot of people didn't think anything of it.
Now, you know that I'm a realist on Daniel Jones. I'm not the Daniel Jones lover. I'm not the Daniel Jones hater. I'm still kind of playing it out. I think he's an average starting quarterback in this league. But let me ask you this, Peter. See your thoughts on it when I word it this way.
Sure.
If you give Daniel Jones that offensive line, those receivers, do you not think that he's going to do much better than he did this past season?
I mean, I think he could probably do a lot better. And that's the reason why you have the progression of Jalen Hurts, because when you didn't have the necessary wide receivers on the offensive line, and Philly played this right. They drafted him second round. They looked at him. They went out and got him A.J. Brown. They went out and got Devontae Smith. They got a running game there with Miles Sanders when he could stay healthy. They built an offense around him, and they said, you know what? We're going to use your running ability, but we want you to stay in that pocket and make those throws. But you're exactly right. With all those weapons at the end of the day, yeah, you should absolutely do well. So the proof is going to be in the pudding, because we know this all too well, Andrew, right? Jalen Hurts had a tremendous year, but defensive coordinators and defenses overall start to pick up on those tendencies of what you do. So you may try to duplicate that success unless you're like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Totally different animal. But usually when you go to that next year, it's a little bit tougher, because those defensive coordinators and especially those defenses know what you're going to do and know what's coming.
Oh, yeah. And plus, on top of that, keep in mind the Eagles lost both their coordinators this offseason. They also keep in mind they have a little bit older of a line when some of their guys like Jason Kelce are a little bit getting up there in age now. So, you know, I'm never a fan, and I try to look at other teams like the Eagles that I honestly just despise with a passion. I try to step out of the Giants standpoint and look from the NFL standpoint. And to me, you never want to pay somebody off 1 year of success. We're dealing with the same thing with the Giants, where Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, wants the extension as well. And for all we know, this was their career years for both these guys, and they'll never duplicate that again. So do you want to pay for Dexter Lawrence, $25 million a year, or for Jalen Hurts, $50 million a year, to a guy that had one good year?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, the first year was okay. Well, it's actually his second year. First year wasn't that great. Second year was okay. Third year was his breakout, and you're exactly right with the quarterback market and the way it's inflated and how it really does stunt the other team's growth and stunts the growth of that team. They really got to get creative, because if you don't, you're usually missing out on the number one wide receiver. I'm going to finish up, man, because I'm kind of done here.
Yeah.
Give me some final thoughts on the Giants tomorrow night here, and so it's almost midnight here.
Ooh, I know. I got to be up in like 5.5 hours myself here. So
listen, give me a prediction on the New York Giants. What's the best case scenario, and what's something that would surprise you about this team on Thursday?
Best case scenario is Jackson Smith and the Jigba falls down, but it's not going to happen.
Okay.
More likely is going to be either Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland, or Cam Smith, the cornerback out of South Carolina. I'll tell you the surprise move, and you already saw my sheet as far as what I think is going to happen tomorrow. I think the Raiders will trade down with the Cardinals to go ahead and get Anthony Richardson. I think it's just the type of move they make. It makes sense for the Cardinals. They get a couple of extra picks. Just based on the value of the picks, they should get an extra second and third rounder by moving down a couple of picks there at that point. They're still got a top flight defensive guy, and they get 2 more premium picks for later on for Friday. It's a great move for everybody.
It really is a great move. And if you trade up for a quarterback, usually you can get a first-round pick next year. We'll see how it all transpires. Mr. Andrew Davis, 2 giant goop balls. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Yes, I'm the host of 2 Giant Goofballs. We're a New York Giants podcast with my buddy Rob there. We're available on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn. On video, we're also available on about 50 different podcast platforms on audio as well.
Nice.
So obviously, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and all the big fellas out there. So if you like football overall, if you're not a Giants fan, we do talk football, and more football. We start every single episode with not just Giants news, but NFL news overall. So do give a listen, give a like, hit a subscribe, hit a follow, tell a friend if you know any Giants football fans out there. And appreciate you having me on there, Peter.
Absolutely. There you go. The giant goofball himself, Mr. Andrew Davis. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution. All right.
Take it easy, man.
All right, man. Good stuff there. I'm going to wrap it up on that. I mean, a great night of draft talk, a great night for fans to be the general managers and make picks. And of course, Christopher Cole absolutely killed it. Thanks to all the guests tonight. Of course, here at the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire, big game James Canada, former defensive tackle of the Bucs and the Indianapolis Colts, J.C. Allen of Pewter Report, Andrew Davis, the giant goofball, the madman, Mark Mancini for Turnbuckle Talk, Ralph Williams, congratulations. Guys, I don't know what we're doing tomorrow night, but stay tuned. We may have something in the works. If not, we'll see you next time. Do 3 things. But before you do those 3 things, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube, and like I Love St. Pete, the Hub, and Amped Up Sports, and do 3 things for me on this Draft Eve edition of the Sports Web. You know it, you like it, you got to have it. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for all you draft fans out there, it's your time. Have a great night.